thunder, shake the open ground. Won't give in, I'm fighting for the crown. Heavy clouds are way above my head, like all of my regrets and things I never said. No, got a feeling, shiver in my bones. Something's coming, but nobody knows. Empty hearts and neon lights, they're playing with my mind. Gotta get out of here tonight. Oh, I wanna run off and fly, and I'll tell myself it's fine to be alone, just to find somewhere that finally feels like home. Oh, oh, oh. I hate all this overthinking. Oh, 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 oh. The more I swim, the more I'm sinking. Take me to a world of silver. No more heartbreaks, tears, painkillers. Take me somewhere unfamiliar. Bring me back to where we started out. Get me out of now, to where we started out. Get me out of now, to where we started out. La 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 la, oh, oh. Get me out of broken hearts and starting fights, turning truth to lies. Gotta get up, stop wasting time. Yeah, I wanna run off and fly, and I'll tell myself it's fine to be alone, just to find somewhere that finally feels like home. Oh, oh, oh. I hate all this overthinking. Oh, 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 oh. The more I swim, the more I'm sinking. Take me to a world of silver. No more heartbreaks, tears, painkillers. Take me somewhere unfamiliar. Bring me back to where we started out. Get me out of now, to where we started out. Get me out of now, to where we started out. Oh no, oh
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Week 3, Day 3 of the PKL League. I always get tongue-tied for some reason on that one. But I am here today with my co-caster, Zed. Zed, how you doing today?
Doing all right, doing all right.
Man, I'm glad to hear that. We have a pretty good game in store for us, a series rather, as we have COG Midas taking on Yeah Okay Infinite. Both of these teams have only played one series in the league so far, and both of them played, I believe, the top 3 teams in the league. So unfortunately for them, they're both sitting at 0-1, but one of them's got to win today. So we will see somebody pick up their first win of the season. You got any insight into who that might be?
Well, I mean, I have faith that Yao K Infinite is going to win this one. The mid duo, I mean, the mid jungle duo that they have, they've been known to do Zach Vagar,
Mm.
and I did really enjoy watching that. Some of the ganks that they performed on the enemy mid on the game that I'm talking about, I forget which one it was, but there was basically zero counterplay to it. They burned Flash early and just absolutely stomped on him throughout the laning phase, and then later on he was completely useless. So I am hoping that Yao K Infinite's gonna be able to do something like that again. Um, Yao K Infinite did fall to Froggy Style Sun after the Victor Pentakill game. They got a little bit cocky towards the end of the game, and basically they disrespected the amount of synergy that Cog Midas had. I mean, not Cog Midas, sorry, Froggy Style Sun had, and ended up falling on the third game. So if they can learn to play slower and play simpler, then it should work out for them. As far as Cog Midas, I mean, I don't think I've casted that many games with them, but from what I've seen so far, they have a pretty decent early game. Mid to late game, they make a lot of bad calls, and I think that's what basically makes them lose some of the games that they play. If I feel like if they've worked on that and the time that they've had to play with each other before this game, then I feel like they should have a decent chance to basically out macro them later on. But I don't know, we'll see.
Yeah, I've gotten some insight from some of the captains around the league that a lot of teams are scrimming, maybe not necessarily each other, but they are basically trying their best to push forward and make those adjustments going into the next couple of weeks of the league. I do want to point out too that both of these teams were very, very close to winning their series. Cog Midas and Yao K Infinite both took the game or series to 3 games, and I think with a couple of swings they could have definitely changed that record from 0-1 to 1-0. But we are in the draft here, and we're going to talk about the bans real quick. We have Aatrox, J4, and Vigar banned out from Cog Midas, and then we have Volibear, Victor, and Ornn banned out by Yao K Infinite and First Big Jin. So I like the bans. We already talked about Vigar being a huge point of contention for Yao K Infinite, so it's good that they get that out of the way early.
Yeah, and I think they did their homework and studied up on the team that they were going to be facing, which is a really good idea. But for the most part, excuse me, I do agree with the Jarvan ban. As basically a general ban that you want to see in leagues, it's someone that has a lot of lockdown potential, and that would be J4. And on the side of Yao K Infinite, they banned Victor. I think that's a trauma ban. I'm not gonna lie to you, that probably most likely is a trauma ban. Volley, I mean, he's a very solid jungler in my
and a top laner too.
And a top laner. They just banned, the champion for 2 different roles. And then Ornn, of course, Ornn Horn basically being unkillable, and the Ornn items, I mean, that's just an overall good ban. Aatrox, I'm perfectly fine with. I do completely agree with these bans.
Yeah. We do see Lucian and Corki picked up for Yao K Infinite, so we have a really nice flex pick. We've seen a lot of teams utilize Lucian mid, even a team or two utilize Lucian top. So we know that he has the synergy to be played in a lot of different roles. And the answer to that for COG is just picking up an immediate Nautilus on the side for their support. Nautilus Jhin, a very strong lane. We saw basically this when we looked at some of the games yesterday. Maybe a little bit more towards the realm of long range, but Nautilus helps you lock down the Corki, lock down the Lucian, and if this does end up being a Corki mid, LeBlanc into Corki is a heck of a matchup. Very, very good on LeBlanc's side. Corki can get fed and get ahead, but LeBlanc has that burst potential, and she can become a real pain when she gets a lot of kills or a lot of farm under her belt, and then just decides to roam and one-shot anybody that's, in the realm of her double W or, full combo with electrocute. So
Yeah, and I've seen LeBlanc played from other teams. The mid laner's name is Borussia, I think, and this guy pops off on LeBlanc every single time he manages to get his hand on it. So I'm expecting very big things from Cog Midas. They have a reputation to uphold, so I can't wait to see how this mid lane turns out.
yeah, I believe you're referring to Baruka King. He is
Yeah,
on Froggy Style Moon. He did play yesterday, and he had a wonderful showing, actually picking up one of the MVP awards yesterday for his fantastic Zoe. I believe it went like something like 17, 2, and 10. It was just ridiculous. He had a wonderful game. But all of that aside, we do see second round bans come through. Mordekaiser and Xin Zhao finding their way out for Yaoke Infinite's bans, and Zach and Trundle for Cog Midas. So they really did their homework. We knew what Yaoke Infinite liked to play. We know how dangerous they can be around the mid jungle. And Poppy picked up. This is another flex pick that can go jungle, that can go top, even played in the support realm sometimes, but I doubt that we'll see that as Alistar has already been picked up. But you have two flexers right now, and Cog Midas still has to draft their jungle and solo lane unless they do something wacky like Nautilus jungle, but I doubt we'll see that coming out. We do see a
there's
Viego
the
picked up,
Viego.
which could go top or jungle, but their second pick has to come through before Infinite. So I imagine that's going to go to jungle, and we're going to see a top laner come out right here.
Yeah, and having last pick top is very distressing. There's a Gnar, so I want to see a good. I don't really know any good counters to Gnar. I don't really see that much of a Gnar gameplay in my solo queue games or even in the league.
Gnar is a very good champion. He's a good mix between melee tankiness and long distance harass. Good answers into that normally that you see from professional player, even higher up player. Things like Jace, some cheese picks like Vayne, but it doesn't really work out a lot of the time. If Lucian is into the Gnar in top lane, that could be huge because Lucian into Gnar is a fantastic matchup for the Lucian. The only problem is where's that Poppy going to go in the meantime? That I guess shift down to jungle, and it is going to be Lucian top. Yeah, I do believe that Poppy is going jungle now, and that is a Sivir ADC. So we're gonna see probably what is going to be a heavy bully top side of the map. Poppy is going to be there, denying the engages from LeBlanc when she does gank. Deny some of the hop ability from Gnar, and even a little bit from the Viego. I don't think it denies the R, but the speed reduction does help when he goes into his E. So I'm expecting a lot of action on the top side, and not so much on the bot side, as Sivir Alistar is a pretty safe lane. Able to knock away the Nautilus hook with the spell shield too, so not really going to play for heavy bot side, I think.
Yeah, and the thing with Gen Nautilus is they rely a lot on the early game, synergies they have. Nautilus basically walks in a straight line, autos them, and then Gen presses W, and from there, it's just an absolute just pile of CC. So I feel like that's a tiny, tiny problem, but I don't really think that it's going to be that bad for them. Mid, I don't really know if Corki is going to be able to survive the LeBlanc. LeBlanc is a very spicy champion, to say the least. He's gonna have to play extremely passive. I'm expecting a cold buy from the Corki just to get some better gold efficiency from his items. As far as top lane goes, that's gonna be an interesting top lane. I want to see some good dodges out from the Lucian. As far as the Gnar, he's just gonna have to play for late. Lucian's very good late game, but at the same time, Gnar is a nasty team fight champion. Jungle, I mean, they're both pretty much just going to try to ignore each other, I'm assuming. As far as team compositions go, though, I do like Cog Midas's team fight composition. With the Nautilus, with the Jhin, Blanc going in for some burst damage, Viego going in. I don't like the fact that they really don't have that much of disengage. Especially considering Yaoke Infinite has Alistar for disengage, Poppy for disengage. Lucian could potentially act as a form of disengage with his ultimate because everyone's just going to run. But for the most part, I mean, I'm I'm gonna have to go with okay, Infinite.
I think that Cog Midas definitely has a better team fight here. Yeah, okay, Infinite's probably going to play towards your lanes. You do have a very capable Lucian that can take over the game if he does get a couple of kills on the Gnar and set the Gnar back. But Gnar's Mega is just so powerful in a team fight. However, it is going to be very difficult to get on top of Yauke Infinite with the Poppy W. The way it's going to keep Nautilus from jumping on you, even if he lands a hook, keep the LeBlanc at bay, and then even the Gnar, because his jump is considered like, a jump. So if he is trying to jump on top of you and then R into the wall, it's just not going to happen the way he wants it to. So I expect this game to go into the team fight stage, but if Lucian just, like we have seen some Lucians do, just takes over the game and is able to run wild with it, we might see this one over pre-30 here. But I'm going to throw my vote here into the Cog Midas portal. I think the team fight will win out, and you just play around Poppy's cooldowns and try to negate as much as you can out of the Lucian. Maybe send Viego up there a bunch of times just to make sure he doesn't get too far ahead. So I'm going to lean towards that 60-40.
I'm going to throw mine behind okay, Infinite. I want to say 60-40 as well. Because as good of a team fight they have, I feel like Cog Midas has that same level of a team fight almost. The only reason that it's 60-40 and not 70-30 for me, because Yauke Infinite has the disengage from the Alistar and the Poppy. So it's going to be basically it's going to be hinging on them to make sure that these team fights do not spiral out of their control. If they do end up spiraling, Poppy is going to have to ult, and Alistar is just going to have to be Alistar and knock them out of the way and airborne them and basically make them want to disengage because it's not worth it anymore. Now, they have a lot of room for misstep, but so does Cog Midas. So both teams have to play very, very well in order for these compositions to actually manage to work out.
Yes, and we will throw it to a short break, and when we get back, we are going to jump right into game. We'll see you shortly.
Information making me question our relation to the nation, our religion, supersonic, my existence can't resist us. Clearly I find myself living inside a shelf. All of these pages can't help. Got all my introspect, mirrors they don't reflect all of the things that we do. My existence. Supersonic, my existence can't resist us, can't resist us. Supersonic. So say it with hope and you were sure I couldn't agree that we were meant to be. But our love is what they talk about in movies. Our love is what they talk about, what they talk about. Yeah, we were wild and free, and you know everything about me. So wild and free, and you know everything about me. You know everything about, you know everything about me. You know everything about, you know everything about me. You know everything about, you know everything about me. Save me from myself. I really need your help. I'm going under. Save me from myself. All I really ever wanted is if I really going under. Yeah, we were wild and free, and you know everything about me. So wild and free, and you know everything about me. You know everything about, you know everything about me. You know everything about, you know everything about me. You know everything about, you know everything about me. You know everything about, you know everything about me. You know everything about, you know everything about me. You know everything about, you know everything about.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the game. We do have Cog Midas versus Okay Infinite, and we will see a little bit of early shenanigans here as Cog Midas is trying to catch this Lucian and set him behind in this early game. And oh, they are spotted. Flash hook does come out from the Nautilus, flash off of the Lucian, and he will get away. Not much doing there. Nautilus does also have what is that called? I forget. Hex Flash, correct. So he will be in a pretty decent spot. Blowing Flash from the top laner who's so squishy like that might, or is always an advantage, but we might see more come out from Cog Midas here, but there is a ward on red. Unless they double down and come to chickens here. Ward does come over the wall, so they are spotted here. Yeah, everyone's going back to their respective lanes, but Yauke Infinite did get a very deep ward right outside of red. And I think we have... Oh no, just a quick disconnect there. Totally fine altogether. So I'm expecting a lot of action around the top side. Like I said in draft, we already saw some, but I do expect Poppy and Diego to basically live near top mid.
Yeah, and especially since Lucian now no longer has Flash, it should be even better for the Poppy to try to not Poppy, sorry, Viego to come in and try to gank. He is a very decent ganker with his I think that's his W ability. But he should be able to basically walk right behind the Lucian, bait out his dash, and then stun him while the Gnar just comes in and does Gnar things.
Yeah, and I'm looking at everyone's keystones here. Everything seems pretty above board. Poppy does have Phase Rush, so there is a little bit of delineation from what I would normally see a Poppy take. Things like Electrocute, even Aftershock in some instances. So when they proc that CC, they do even more damage and maintain that tankiness. But on the side of Cog Midas, we have Lucian, or excuse me, we have Jin with Fleet Footwork. So that is a nice adaptation, as we saw Dark Harvest, I believe, last time on the Jin from a couple series ago.
Yeah, he does have exhaust. I do like that into this tank top for the Lucian, and if Poppy goes lethality, then it'll be even better for that. But I want to look at, I don't know if you already mentioned this, because your audio kind of cut out for me. Oh boy, here we go.
And this might just be a dead Lucian here. Yep, Gnar finds the Mega Form, and that is first blood over to Viego. I mean, your point is valid, and now I believe LeBlanc finds the kill in the mid lane. Yes. And Cog Midas up 2-0, 3 minutes into the game. That is not what you want if you're Yaoke Infinite.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty decent way to snowball the game. Viego getting first blood, LeBlanc following up right after with a kill of her own. And it's really sad if those two champions specifically manage to get ahead because of the amount of damage that they're able to put out. And that is just... I don't know about that one, LeBlanc.
Yeah, Corki looking for something here. Viego does get knocked close to the wall by Poppy, and she does have that phase rush proc. And now Viego's not going to be able to get away. I do believe Corki not able to find the last shot, but he may just maybe find a kill here. But no, LeBlanc finds the kill onto the Corki, and that is going to be a sad, sad day as you blue flash for that engagement, and Viego gets out. And now we have some action in the bot lane. I'm sorry to cut you off here, but Nautilus does land the hook on the Sivir. Alistar trying to go in to have some sort of reciprocation here, but I think he might just die. Ignite ticks him down. Flash out of Jhin, but it was all for naught. So it is, as he gets the kill.
Yeah, that hook by Nautilus absolutely hit. 100%. Totally.
Accurate. You know, Nautilus hook does a lot of funny things. I've once hooked someone under tower, behind the tower before. What a great, character that is in the game.
Yeah, what a great champion. And I think Poppy's going to try for a gank here.
I do believe so. It looks like she does have the phasers back up. Trying to stop the jump out from Gnar. He does end up getting the hop, but he is forced to flash as well. So, yeah. I mean, pretty good gank up there. You do get the flash out. Lucian's flash is coming back up, so he's going to have some lane prio. And Lucian is up in this lane in CS, so I wouldn't count Yaoke Infinite out just yet, but they are at a disadvantage, already down 1,500 gold at 5 minutes into the game.
Yeah, and I just want to touch on something that Gnar did. So he had vision, right, of the Poppy coming in, trying to gank, and instead of walking backwards, walked forwards towards the Lucian, which is pretty much the worst possible thing that you could have done because Poppy has a lot of damage, because Lucian has a lot of damage, especially early on. It's extremely, I don't want to say dumb, but for lack of a better word, dumb, to walk forward instead of walking backwards there because you're pretty much either going to have to burn flash or just die. And then on top of that, he had to burn teleport.
To get back up into the lane,
to get back to lane, exactly. So that's horrible for him, and I feel like he should have played that a lot better, saved his flash, and just... respected it and dropped his ego and said, hey, if I stay here, I'm either going to have to burn flash or die, and realize that. And I think that if he realized that and still chose to stay in anyway, that is probably not going to end well for Cog Midas.
Yeah, but he ends up not falling. So all in all, at least as the play goes right now, it's not the worst thing in the world. You do lose your flash, but you're still alive in this lane. You are down a good bit of CS, but as opposed to a Lucian, like I said, he does have a pretty good scaling into this lane, so it's not the end of the world. Lucian is looking like he could be on the comeback. The assist differential in the gold is probably about even if we can get Observer to tick that over. Yeah, see, Lucian is actually up in gold at this point just because of the CS differential. And we do have Nautilus engaging onto the Alistar here. Alistar does have the CC, but he is not going to be able to land that as Nautilus just walks away.
Yeah, and like I said, this bot lane is going to be really aggressive. Nautilus being a Nautilus champion, a hook champion, especially the hook hitboxes in this game are very unbalanced. So I feel like that in itself would... Oh, what is going on with this?
A little bit of engagement from the Alistar. I don't think anything's going to come of it. Alistar does have the Hex Flash up, and Nautilus does actually have his real flashback. So we may see a little bit more skirmishing here. Jhin does have exhaust ready to go, but Lucian is here for the rinse and repeat, forced to flash out of what was a gank from the Viego, and now Alistar is all over the Lucian. Sivir finds the kill onto him, and I'm pretty sure Nautilus is going to be forced to flash, but Poppy onto the Viego, trying to find the shutdown. Lucian did TP back up into lane, or just walk there, relatively low cooldown on his death timer. But Gnar is in Mega, and he is chasing Lucian down the best he can. CC does come through, and that is going to be another kill on the top laner. And now Lucian's body has been taken over. And no, he dies a second time in the form of Viego. Oh, but no, Viego actually gets out. What a play. Corki does pick up the kill on Gnar, and this is just kind of overwhelming for the side of okay, Infinite. You're losing across the board.
Yeah, but it does, make me feel a little bit better that Yaoke Infinite, not Yaoke Infinite, but specifically Corki is on the board now. He has the Hex Drinker for the LeBlanc, but I feel like that was maybe a bad buy considering that LeBlanc is the only AP champion, like mainly AP damage on the side of Cog Midas. So I feel like he should have just sat on like a no magic mantle, dodged a couple of skill shots with his dash, basically played as safe as possible. And it's very hard to play into LeBlanc, play safely into LeBlanc, and I'm fully aware of that. But I do not personally think that he should have bought that Hex Drinker. I feel like, just no magic mantle, played around jungle ganks if Poppy is actually able to gank that. Because, LeBlanc is one of the most slippery champions of the game. But
yeah, very hard to gank, and that's not only LeBlanc. Lucian usually is very hard to gank, and that's why he is used to having that support. But now we have a 3-man roam to the top side, and Lucian is pretty much just gonna disappear. This is just harassment at this point. 3 people are bought, and they might just get a tower play in response, but is that really worth when your Lucian is 0-3-0 at this point in the game?
yeah, I mean, there was a lot of stuff burned to kill Lucian. The support's flash, even though he does have Hex Flash. I don't know. I mean, I don't even know if it was worth that flash, to be honest. Of course, it was only one summoner spell, and besides that, you have just basic abilities. But, I mean, a 3-man top, sacrificing it 2 plates on the bot side turret for an 0-3-0 Lucian. I mean, you could have put that effort elsewhere, like, for example, the mid lane. Or, set up around maybe a dragon in a couple seconds. I mean, there's better places that you could have put that effort. But hey, kill on the Lucian is still a kill on the Lucian.
Yeah, we are seeing basically them say, hey, we know what a win con for you is. Maybe not the win con, but a definite one, and we are not going to let you access that win con at this point in the game. And, I mean, they're doing a very good job of it. Lucian does have a lot of farm, but when you've died 3 times, when you're constantly under pressure of getting ganked, when you're blowing your flash on cooldown, it makes it very hard for you to play the game in general. And now you lose objectives on the top side because he has to play so safe and he has to be afraid. And your bot side is winning, I would say at this point. It's I would say with an asterisk at this point, because Sivir does have a kill and is up a little bit in farm. But really, your Jhin and your Nautilus are about the same. If we can pull up the gold graph, I do believe the gold is relatively similar. Yeah, the 200 gold difference between Jhin and Sivir is about there for Nautilus and Alistar. And this is just Lucian dying again to Gnar outright. This is not even any help at this point. It's just a solo kill from Firevice. And I guess Fire's beating Ice at this point because Elsa is gone down again. I'm at a loss for words because you chose this matchup. You knew what you wanted, and you're not capitalizing on it.
Yeah, and the thing about getting spam ganked like the Lucian has been, if you get spam ganked and you don't die, I feel like he doesn't really know how to respond to ganks that well as the Lucian top. But if you manage to absorb that pressure without dying, that's very good for the rest of your team. We saw Yaoke Infinite capitalize on taking 2 plays from the bot side turret as a response to that 3-man top.
Yeah, we have a little bit of a scuffle break out here. Poppy tries to find some damage. Corki comes in with a huge package over the top of the whole team, and Venom does slay Nautilus here. Might find a couple more answers back. We do see a lot of damage coming out from this Corki, and Viego's getting a little bit too aggressive. And Elsa might just find a refrag here in the top lane, but is not going to be able to follow suit.
Yeah, and I think Elsa has flash up. Unless it's just about to come up. Yeah, it just came up.
Yeah, so, mightily unfortunate. He probably would have got the kill if he had flash there.
Yeah, because, Gnar being Gnar, he just bounced away almost like a fizz, but, more tanky. So, I mean, he almost had that kill, but, that's horrible, horrible timing with the flash. But, being 0-4, it's hard to come back into the game, but he is Lucian, and he is farming decently. He has 90 farm in, 13 minutes, which being 0-4 is actually really good. So I feel like if he just continues to farm and continues, what just happened to me? Sorry about that. As long as he continues to farm and keep himself not in the game, but almost in the game, all it takes is like one team fight where he gets maybe a shutdown or two, then I feel like that would be, oh my.
Viego goes onto the Poppy. He's not going to be able to get out. He has to flash and burn his ultimate at this point. Nautilus here for the re-engage. They go on to the Alistar, who does not have the ult up just yet, is going to find himself dead. Poppy barely living in the skirmish, and Viego dies. I believe it was a combination of Corki and a tower shot. Unsure all the way, but Gnar is trying to fight his way out. Corki with another shutdown onto the LeBlanc, and now we have a little bit of a split fight. Corki with the triple kill. You can't dive him at this point in the game. He's too accelerated, and now Gnar running from his life, trying to get this Poppy away from him, and that's going to be a nice turnaround from Yaoke Infinite.
Yeah, Poppy being not sorry, Poppy. Corki being 5-2, and that team fight going very badly for Cog Midas. Look at what Lucian's doing. Instantly shoving out the wave, instantly going for those turret plates because he knows that is how he's gonna stay in the game and eventually come back. And as soon as he manages, to get back in the game because of this farm, Cog Midas is not gonna expect it. So they're gonna have a team fight. He's gonna be 0-4, but they're not gonna be looking at his items. They're not gonna be expecting the damage, and that is where they're going to mess up over and over and over again because they're not going to expect, Lucian being, and he just took the first turret.
Huge money going back in his pockets, but unfortunately for him, he might just be dead again. He does manage to flash over into Alcove gaming style, but does die to the LeBlanc here with the help of the Nautilus. And something I wanted to point out, going back to that last little Corki engagement underneath the tower, Hex Drinker, the item that we called out at the beginning of the game, actually did wonderful for him because it helped him survive not only the LeBlanc damage, but the AoE magic damage coming out of the Nautilus W as well, or Nautilus E rather, as well, and it did actually end up giving him the shield enough to save his life. So the triple kill could be accredited in a good way to that Hex Drinker. And yeah. I think looking back, hindsight is 2020. The itemization is pretty good at this point.
To be honest with you, I will admit that I'm wrong about that. It did end up saving his life. But, looking back at it, I don't really think that anyone could have anticipated that, especially the Corki. But having that item, it did definitely save his life, so I will admit to that mistake.
Yeah, I don't think Corki even imagined getting dove by 3 people under his tier 1. But we do see Lucian up here fighting for his life in the most literal of senses, as Firevice is just trying to stack that Mega, trying to get the Gnar bar up so he can fight more securedly and try to get that huge R off on the Lucian, which we saw already netted him a kill. And Lucian 0-5-0 at this point in the game already has his mythic though, and is still doing a lot for his damage and for his team.
Yeah, and at this point, Lucian is, he's an item up. He has his mythic. He has his full boots. He bought mythic and boots at base because he took that first turret. And this is what I'm talking about, that CSing, because if you look at the items on Gnar, he doesn't have mythic. He has maybe a lot of components.
We see it engaged. Here comes the team fight, and a TP out of the Lucian helping to find that first kill onto the Nautilus, and now we see a re-engage. He finds the LeBlanc, unable to kill her, though. She gets out with just a smidget of health, and now we see Gnar coming up from the flank. A bit of a mixed bag of a fight here, as there's only 3 here on the side of Cog Midas. LeBlanc trying to get back, trying to regen that HP so she can be there for the fight. But I think this dragon might just burn down for Yaoke Infinite. Jin does open up, finds a couple of shots onto the Sivir, another shot onto the Poppy. Not doing, as Poppy is relatively tanky at this point in the game. Gnar goes Mega. Jin finds the root onto the Poppy, and no! Stopped up by the Poppy! We already talked about how you had to play around those cooldowns, and now Corki's trying to have himself a show. LeBlanc finds the chains, finds the Q onto the Corki. Poppy slays the dragon. Corki's able to negate anything else from the LeBlanc, and they will walk away stronger than they came in.
And those are those team fights that I was talking about. It comes down to mechanical knowledge and just game knowledge about how champions work. And Poppy, blocking out the Gnar when he leapt in, beautiful, because if Nar would have gotten that off, that would have been a really, really bad team fight for Yao K Infinite. But the fact that they took the dragon, they stopped Cog Midas from getting Soul Point. Now they have a chance to come back. Now it's on the nice edge to where it's even. It's very close to being an even game for them. It's 2K gold difference, maybe 5 kills down, and one more bad team fight. And I honestly feel like Yao K Infinite can easily manage this, not only snowball but win the game off of this. I'm fully expecting them to keep their mentals straight. And oh my god!
And we see an engagement onto the Viego. He is absolutely shut down. That was sort of just a snap go. I don't think the Poppy had even planned on engaging there, but as soon as she saw an opening, as soon as he stepped too close to the wall, she said, yeah, let's fire this up. Does get the CC down, and then Alistar followed up. He had nowhere to go.
Yeah, this is well played by Yao K Infinite. And what they're doing is they're just waiting on picks. They're following a flow chart. When I was in another organization, there was this thing that they had called the macro flowchart. And, it basically taught you how to set up around objectives, how to keep tempo whenever you do objectives. And that is exactly what they're doing. Copy and paste. It is extremely intelligent to do this. So what they do is, I don't know if this is the exact order. That is a lot of damage coming out.
You see a lot, yes, a lot of damage coming out from the Gnar. Sivir is here, but now so is Corki. And he doesn't have package, but he does have a lot of damage. A finished nearly finished Mandamune, and he does have the Maul completely finished with Sorg Boots, so he is going to be the main damage dealer. You do have lethality Sivir, so they are going to put out a lot of damage. The Lucian even so far behind, but still able to put up buckets of damages. He might try to go in on the LeBlanc here. Does have Alistar to help, but I don't think they're going to go for that one. Corki still bot, does not have TP up just yet, but ooh, I thought, thank you, Observer. Shutting out the lights, I thought Nautilus was just going to find the Lucian and pick him off, but unfortunately for Nautilus, he does not. And now we return to basically a lull state at this point. A lot of farming going across the objective, or excuse me, Dragon's not up for another 2 minutes. Baron is up, but I doubt either one of these teams try to take it around 20 minutes. So we have about a 3k gold lead. We have a 4 kill lead for Cog Midas. What do they need to do to win this game?
Which team specifically?
Cog Midas.
So Cog Midas needs to keep tempo. It's all about tempo at this point. They need to create the tempo, they need to keep it, and then set her up around these objectives. This is how both teams actually manage to win the game. They create that tempo, they shove out lanes as fast and as hard as they possibly can, they keep vision around the pits, they wait for picks, and do not get caught out. That is the biggest thing. If you get caught out, and there's an objective up, that is an instant objective call. It doesn't matter if it's Baron, taking a turret, taking a dragon, anything like that when getting picked off. It is an instant objective call. It doesn't matter if it's sieging mid, it doesn't matter. That is how these teams win this game, right? And if there's like, for example, a bad team fight, they're just gonna siege down mid.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to cut you off, as I do believe LeBlanc tricks them with the clone, but what a good engage from the side of Yao K Infinite, and there might be some follow-up here. Alistar is looking to back, but that was a good try. You talked about the tempo. They do burn the flash off the LeBlanc, and getting a catch out there would have been huge, as the drag is up in just under a minute's time.
Yeah, and at this point, I feel like Yao K Infinite needs to go reestablish pressure. You can look at top side; it's shoving into Yao K Infinite, and what I can just completely brain fart his name, Gnar. Excuse me. What he can do is continue to shove out this lane, and if he's needed in that team fight, he can just teleport down because he does have unleashed teleport. So he's actually playing the right way. Lucian also has that; he's responding to that top wave. But I mean, if there's any picks on either side of the team, there's going to have to be an instant teleport coming in from either the Lucian or the Gnar. And it should be relatively even. I mean, you look at the items that Lucian has compared to what Gnar has. And at this point, there's a decent amount of sustain coming off. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but we are going to have a bit of a team fight. Corki jumps into 2 members. The Maul saving his life just for a moment, as LeBlanc does find the kill on the Corki. Gnar finds the ult onto the Lucian, and this is a lost team fight for Yao K Infinite. Jhin opening up, but it's going to be for nothing as Viego finds the double kill onto the Sivir. Gnar trying to find the last kill here to make it a clean ace for the side of Cog Midas, and he might just do it as there is not a lot of survivability on this Poppy, but I do believe he's not going to get it in the time, and Poppy does slam him against the wall, gets a little bit of damage over, he misses the Q, and that's going to be all there.
Yeah, and this is the team fights, the really, really bad team fights that I was telling you about. They just took Dragon, and now they're about to just go take a relatively uncontested Baron because that team fight was so bad. They got caught in the choke point. They had the opportunity. They had the knowledge that there was no vision in the bush from Yaoke Infinite. They had the upper hand, and they immediately capitalized on it. And as a response, look, unless it's stolen, I hope it's stolen, maybe?
Might just be a steal. Oh, no. If Poppy did have flash up, could have tried for the steal there, but I think it is smarter to just play back, basically turtle up around your base and try to scale a little bit harder. You do have pretty decent scaling on the side of Yaoke Infinite. You have the Corki, you have the Sivir, who when she hits max items, even if she is lethality, is still going to be a nuisance. Plenty of wave clear at this point in the game as well, so you don't really have to worry too much about that. But as Yaoke Infinite, your options outside of scaling are kind of dwindling, as you don't really have any catch-out potential. You're trying to get this Corki accelerated even more, and as I say that, Alistar goes onto LeBlanc, but we know that she can just W away unless she's blown up to bits. She's burning, but does get the corrupting pot off, so will not die in this instance.
Yeah, and that's... Oh my goodness.
Might be another engage here. Lucian TPing down. Alistar knocked up, and Gnar is going to try to get Mega here. No body falls just yet. Actually, I am remained a liar as Nautilus does fall, following up with Alistar falling. So both supports traded here in this game. Nard looking for the ulti, but Poppy ults him away, and now 4v4 supports gone. They're looking for more here on the side of Cog Midas as they chase Yaoke Infinite down this bot lane. A couple of long-range poke coming out here from Corki and the Jhin, but I think this might just be a straight-up disengage.
Yeah, and that's that very strong disengage that Poppy has, as well as the Alistar. Now, Alistar did kind of hold that fight at bay while Poppy set up for that. Oh my goodness.
Lucian gets jumped on by the Viego, does manage to get over the wall with the help of his E, I do believe, and he is going to have to back away. He does not burn flash there, so pretty good hold on that end, but man, you're just getting backed off constantly.
Yeah, and this is actually a very smart play by Cog Midas. They're not giving them a chance to recuperate and farm. They're saying, okay, we know where you're going. Who's going to follow you? We have the advantage. We are fed. You are not. We'll never give you that opportunity to be able to come back. And they are capitalizing on it very, very well. And I love it when teams do this because it shows that they have that game knowledge and have that confidence in one another to be able to pull that off successfully. People can do it, but if they do even one thing wrong, it's just going to collapse. It's almost like a tower of cards. You take away one, everything falls apart. That is exactly how they play these team fights. And are they? No way, right?
I don't think Alistar really wants this smoke, but he might. He's just going where he pleases, and honestly, at this point in the game, I don't really think you have the ability to do that. You're not that tanky. You don't even have defensive stats on your boots. You're just relatively fast, and I don't think that anyone on Yaoke Infinite can really take on the individual key members of Cog Midas. Now, if you manage to catch someone out in a 3v1 or something along those lines, that's probably a good catch, but a straight-up 1v1 on anybody on the team, or even a 2v2, I don't think you win those.
Yeah, especially since LeBlanc has the capability to practically one-shot, 60% of the team? You know?
Yeah,
it's
sure.
Pretty much almost impossible for Yaoke Infinite to play. But if they have the game knowledge and they have the confidence in themselves, and if they keep their mental straight, they could potentially bring this back, but it's going to be very hard. There's each team fight that goes badly for them, it becomes even harder to get that tempo that they need to secure objectives properly. And one thing leads to another, a snowball happens. It is extremely difficult to come back from that.
Yeah, and we are going to have a team fight here in about 20 seconds, as this is sole point for the side of Cog Midas. And I'm excited for this one because I know that Cog Midas already has the setup, and we're looking at what Yaoke Infinite can do at this point. And barring a massive engage, but Nard did just lose his Mega, so he's not going to have it up in time for this fight. I want to see Alistar engage now. I want to see him go on the squishier targets. And we do see an initial engagement onto the Viego, who should be the primary target. Lucian trying his best to kite it out. Does break the GA off of the Viego. The rest of his team is gone. Poppy with the nice knockaway on the Nautilus. And Viego does die for real this time. LeBlanc over the wall. Corki trying to do as much damage as possible. Does find the Nautilus as Alistar falls on the front side of the fight. Lucian dead. Nard finding the pushback onto the Sivir. Jin having to flash over the wall, and now we have Poppy flashing to catch LeBlanc, who is going to die to the Corki. Lucian once again, or excuse me, not Lucian, Corki once again finding another kill, and I think Sivir dies to the Jin as Jin picks up a double kill. Corki last alive here. Jin could be it for him. Jin opens up and is going to find nothing, but a TP in from Nar is going to make Corki have to run for the hills. I don't think there's going to be a chase down here. Possibly, though. Corki's W should be back up. Yes, there's nothing doing.
And look at how well that was played on the side of Yaoke Infinite in the beginning. Because they knew that the Gnar was the team fight condition. As soon as he lost that form, they instantly engaged.
Oh, but now we see a re-engage here. Alistar's here. The drag is dwindling down. And it's going to be stolen by Lucian. A huge steal. And now Corki's going to be able to get his revenge onto the Jin. 2 TPs. It's going to be worth it this time as the huge shutdown goes over to Corki. Nard just loses his mega form. And now you have the tempo on the map. You have the advantage. I want to see them push up for this Baron. Maybe pick out on this Nard who's playing too aggressive in the mid lane.
I don't think... yeah, he's out. Most likely. But that was pretty badly played by Cog Midas. I will say that. They should have just instantly... I don't really think they could have because there's only 2 people alive. I don't think they should have started that without the entire team there because there always is the risk. You know, there's 2 teleports up. If they kept track of the time... Oh my gosh, look at that damage.
Yeah, okay. Infinite is trying to secure this Baron. And now Viego is here. Alistar pops the ult and Poppy pops Viego and Nautilus out of the way. LeBlanc with a huge amount of damage coming over the top, basically having 3 members of Yaoke Infinite. Now they're going to have to back off as this Baron does regen.
Yeah, Yaoke Infinite actually messed up right there. So as soon as Poppy knocked away, who was it? I want to say Nautilus maybe?
Nautilus and Viego, yes.
Yeah, Nautilus and Viego. As soon as they knocked them away, they should have instantly turned and tried to kill that Gnar and tried to kill that LeBlanc. Because if they manage that, that is a free Baron for them. Now, whenever you do an objective, you lose tempo, right? They tried for this, they lost tempo in the mid lane, and now, as a result, Cog Midas gets a free tier 2 mid, and there's absolutely nothing that Yaoke Infinite can do about it. And that is the risk for, doing these objectives, these major objectives, because if it goes good, that's wonderful. You have that Baron buffer, you have that, that dragon under your belt. But if you don't engage it properly, and if you don't play around it properly, lose tempo, and then as a result, you lose turrets. And that is something that they did not either understand or respect.
Viego was backing on a ward there. They tried to catch him out. I believe Corki's Valkyrie ended up with him hitting a wall. And Alistar does go onto the LeBlanc. Not really going to do much here as Alistar is relatively tanky at this point in the game. LeBlanc still with completed 3 items and 5 stacks on her Dark Seal. So she will output, like you said, pretty much lethal damage to 60% of the team. Alistar goes in on the Nautilus. Flash immediately by the Nautilus, and I believe Lucian's ult is going to kill here. It does, and that is a free pick. And you just rinse and repeat. Go back up towards that Baron. Go back towards your major objective that you want. And that tier 2 isn't there, so maybe the repercussions won't be as severe this time. And I want to see maybe a little bit more scouting. Maybe try to bait that Baron a little bit harder than you did the first time. Poppy's ult is back up, so you have a good amount of disengage. And now they're just going to go right onto it. Alistar waiting in the wings, finds the LeBlanc. Here, it's massive. He knocks him into the whole team. LeBlanc with the double dash. She is out of this fight. I would take it immediately. Viego has to TP, or not TP, ult out rather, and he is going to get re-engaged on by the Nautilus, or by the Alistar, and Viego does manage to fall here. Corki picking up that kill. A huge knockup by the Poppy. Stops Nar's jump away, and Nar is going to find his death as well. Corki putting out massive amounts of damage. Alistar with another re-engage, and that is going to be a huge 3-for-0 in that fight.
And they could have done this the last time that they went on Baron, but they didn't think about it. And they realized it. They realized their mistake. And you know that they realized it because this time, as soon as that LeBlanc was knocked away by the Alistar, instantly turned around and engaged on the rest of the team. And as a result, they won a team fight. Now they get to have a free Baron. And now this game, unless they try to, this just secured by the Poppy. But now they have the snowball active. There's a tiny snowball, but nevertheless, it is still a snowball. They have the momentum.
And
now they need to
probably. Oh my goodness, the damage coming out from both sides. I was gonna say you're probably going to see a dead Nautilus here, but I did not expect Alistar to drop as well. What a huge amount of damage coming out from the LeBlanc and the Corki. Mid laners honestly taking this game over at this point. And when we look at the gold differential, it's pretty much obsolete now. You have maybe a 200 gold difference, and that's for the side of Yaoke Infinite, and they still have Baron buff up. So I'm expecting to see that grow a little bit here. Dragon's up in about 35 seconds. This game is right back to where it began, pretty much dead even.
Yeah, and even though Lucian is 1-8, look at how much he's doing in these team fights. I knew that he was going to stay like an active part of the fights because of his ultimate, but I didn't realize that, it would be this much of an active part, because that ult is basically a column of space. Oh my goodness, that
LeBlanc with, oh my goodness, the amazing amount of damage she just output onto the Poppy, who I will say at this stage should have more MR than this. That is the most damaging person on the enemy team, but nevertheless, she is dead and will not be alive for this Dragon fight. And barring something incredible, Corki having to waste a package there, this is going to be Dragon Soul, Ocean Soul nonetheless, over to Cog Midas, and that is not the soul you want to give away. You are forced into buying Grievous Wounds here, and as I look across the board at people's items, we only have 2 Grievous Wounds items on the side of Yaoke Infinite at the current moment.
Yeah, and this is very poor itemization from Poppy. She should have, instead of buying that Randuin's, because Randuin's is for critical strike damage, right? And Viego is going, look at the damage coming out. Oh my goodness. Just that raw damage coming out from the LeBlanc. And that is why it's so important to have that magic resist item, because the damage that she puts out, her Q amplifies whatever damage her abilities does, right? She QEs, it does more damage. She QWs, it does massive, massive damage. And they've seen this throughout the game, and instead of itemizing against it, they basically say, hey, feel free to take half my health bar with 2 abilities. Go right ahead. And they lost Dragon Soul because of it. They lost Dragon Soul because Poppy is only building against AD and not. Oh, you see that sync? You see the synchronization between the 2 blast cones? Oh, okay.
I'm inclined to agree with you. Even the Alistar, who is the other tanky member, does not have much MR. Turbo Chem Tank does not give a lot of MR, and even Corki at this point, I do believe has the most MR on the team. I'd be remiss to say that this itemization might just cost them the game if they aren't playing smarter about it.
And here goes Nara with the Mega Form.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to chase him down. He does turn onto the Poppy, and that might have been a mistake. He does manage to R her away and is going to get away. So a little bit confusing as to why he decided to just, use his R. Not a huge objective fight coming up, so unless they just try to fight at this point in the game, I don't see it happen.
Yeah, and I think they might have just been looking for any form of momentum that they could use. And I'd say that's a good ultimate, good peeling ultimate, but at the same time, he shouldn't have been there in the beginning. If he doesn't see like 3 people on the map, if he sees 3 people missing, then he shouldn't even be pushing that far up. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but they just need to keep shoving in lanes. That's exactly what they're doing right now. You can see Lucian going topside, taking that top wave, taking back some tempo for himself and his team. And you can see that they're trying to respond to that, and as a result, they get more pressure mid lane. Now, what Lucian needs to do is leave. He needs to walk away.
And unfortunately for him, I don't think he's going to be able to do that. He does end up dashing, has flash here, but a TP comes in from the Corki. He does flash away, but it's not going to be enough as LeBlanc does manage to find the kill. Corki is probably going to whittle this Nautilus down. Alistar is here for a re-engage. He pops the Turbo Chem Tank, and boy, oh boy, look at the damage coming out of the Corki. And now it's a whole team fight as LeBlanc finds the chains onto the Alistar. He is rooted in place, and I think this might just be where you turn away at this point. But Viego is here. Ocean Soul is adorned on the side of Cog Midas, and they might be looking for a little bit more, but there are wards everywhere for Yaoke Infinite, so they know if they try to push this up. They know if they're going to push forward. And Alistar is playing with fire at this point, but I do like him waiting in the wings, making sure Corki is alive here.
Yeah, and he's basically just being a mobile ward unit, and I love the fact that he's doing this. He's almost playing like a Teemo hiding in a bush, but he's walking around. You know, he's staying just out of sight, but just, you know, in range to see, you know, hey, this is where everyone's at. I don't know if Yaoke Infinite knows they're in that bush. So if Corki walks out, that's going to be very bad if he gets caught out. Yeah, they don't know they're in that bush.
I think they did have a ward in the try above it, but they might not know that they stayed for so long. This play might just work as Poppy is dangerously close to walking into this. We see some pings coming out from Cog Midas and nothing coming out from Yaoke Infinite. But as soon as Poppy leaves, it is over for the Corki. He's getting jumped on by 4 people. He does manage to Valkyrie out, does have to flash, and that is it for Corki. He is completely and utterly gone. Lucian does manage to TP in, and it's going to be all for naught as he misses his ult there for the most part, and now he is going to die. He does manage to get the kill on the Nautilus, but he does die to the Viego, and this is a lot of damage coming out from the side of Cog Midas. Poppy does manage to knock the Viego away, and Alistar knocks the LeBlanc into the tower, shut down over to the Poppy, and now you have an engagement. Poppy doing everything in her power to keep her team afloat, and I don't think it's going to be much else in this team fight.
No, as soon as Corki died, that was an instantly lost team fight, no matter how well they played it, because he is the main damage source. Respect to Sivir, of course, but she doesn't do near enough damage like he does, and not enough range like Corki has. Maybe her Q reaches that far, but I digress. It's not going to be enough if Corki is not there. This isn't just an instant Baron call. They just won that team fight hard. They have the DPS to be able to take that Baron. And I don't think that Yaoke Infinite is going to be able to come back from that. They made a couple of misplays. They basically should have just walked away from that, knowing that there is a small chance there's 4 people, you know, around the top side of the map, not necessarily stacked into a bush. But there is Elden coming up in around 15 seconds, and they do have the first arrival to this pit. So they should be able to set up for it beautifully.
They definitely have the inside track here, as most members from Cog Midas are now rotating over. Alistar trying to get back over the wall. Yes, definitely so. And I believe Yaoke has a setup here towards this bait bush in the try here. They are going to wrap? Possibly. No, they just go right towards the Drake. Full vision control on the top side, and Cog Midas said, hey, if you're not going to play for the inside track of your mid lane, we're just gonna take it. But they got bamboozled as most members of Yaoke Infinite are whittling down the dragon. It's gonna come down to a smite fight at this point. Viego doing everything in his power to fight and get this dragon, but I think Poppy does manage to get it. Unfortunately, multiple members of Yaoke Infinite have already fallen, and Poppy's last alive here as Alistar falls as well. It's going to be a triple kill for Jhin. It might just be the ace as Poppy runs away. Gnar trying to catch, might be able to hit the Q. The W hits. Oh my goodness, I don't actually know why that didn't kill. Oh, but there goes the last kill. That is going to be the ace for Cog Midas, and that is going to be the game, as the death timers at this point in the game are way too long for any answer.
Yeah, this was back and forth, I feel like, but in the end it was that fight around the top side where Corki fell, and at that point, you know, there's really nothing that you could have done because that shutdown went over to the Jhin. If it didn't go to Jhin, even if it went to Nautilus, he still fell. He still allowed that amount of snowball come back from Cog Midas, and as a result, you know, to that bad fight where Corki fell, no one else can put out the amount of damage that he can. So they should have instantly just said, you know what, he's dead. We're just gonna walk away. We're just gonna have to give this up and not die. But instead, they stayed around. A couple people on both sides dropped. There was some misplays on both sides, but I mean, it was Corky was the win condition, and instead of playing like the win condition, he just said, you know what, we're just going to run directly in a straight line, and as a result, they lost. So
Yeah, I
I want
do
to see some
think
improvements.
I do think both sides had pretty good drafts. I think the Lucian just got so far behind, even though he was able to do damage in team fights, even though he was able to push out some of the lanes. It was just he was so unimpactful for the game. And when you got into team fight range, it was just the Alistars of frontline. They didn't itemize correctly versus the LeBlanc. I'm pretty sure had there been more MR, they would have been able to zone LeBlanc or maybe, burst her down quicker in the time span of not getting popped. Because Poppy did die right before Soul Drake went over to Cog Midas, and that was a huge swing in the game. And we talked about that multiple times and how it affected the rest of the game, not only the rest of the team as you lost your jungler, but all in all, I think that was a wonderful game, a heck of a game to watch, and a close one at that. So I'm really excited for game 2. If you had to choose an MVP for Cog Midas, who would it be?
I would honestly have to give that over to LeBlanc.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. LeBlanc going absolutely astronomical this game. Did everything in their power to win the game, and ultimately, I think was the reason that their team won, popping so many members of Infinite. So we're gonna throw it to a break here in a second, but we are gonna put up a poll and ask you guys, who do you guys think was the MVP of Game 1? I'm pretty sure we're probably gonna give it to LeBlanc, but we do want to hear your guys' voices as well. We'll see you guys here shortly for draft for Game 2.
I run away for some time into a universe of senses. I run away for some time into a universe of senses. Word is on my mind, and there's a crowding on my senses. Can't redefine, and there's a crowding on my senses. senses. I run away for some time into a universe of senses. I run away for some time into a universe of senses. Word is on my mind. There's a clouding on my senses. Can't to read to find. There's a clouding on my senses. Clouding on my senses. Clouding on my senses. talk twice for you and I. 'Cause lightning doesn't talk twice for you and I. The sun will rise tomorrow. 'Cause lightning doesn't talk twice for you and I.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We are already pretty far into draft. We did end up voting the mid laner for Cog Midas into the MVP slot, so we are very excited about that. I believe he also won the poll, so that was all good. We do see three pretty standard bans. Actually, a reaction ban coming out as they do ban the LeBlanc from the side of Yaoke Infinite. They do not want to see that champ again. Victor LeBlanc and Mordekaiser are the bans, and then for Cog Midas, Volibear, J4, and Aatrox are the bans. And we see top laners picked up almost immediately here as Ornn for Yaoke Infinite, and then Shin comes out for Cog Midas. What do you think about this so far? Do you think these bans and these picks are warranted here?
Well, if we take a quick look at the Victor ban, I'd say this is completely warranted. Absolutely, completely warranted. Trauma bans happen all the time. That last pentakill would have scared anyone into submission. So that's fair. The LeBlanc was a huge part of Cog Midas, especially their outgoing damage. So I feel like without that LeBlanc, the magic damage, just the raw damage that comes out from LeBlanc, I feel like Yaoke Infinite stands a little bit more of a chance unless Cog Midas pulls out something like Zoe. And then I would just curl up in a ball corner and cry my eyes out. But
Well, there are a lot of other picks. Like we saw, the Zac and the Vygar got banned last time from the side of
Yeah.
Cog Midas, and I don't see the bans this time, so we might just see both of them picked up here, which would be a little odd because you don't really want to pick up your solo lanes, before you get a chance to see anything else. But I guess if you're just that confident on it, you might just do that. And instead, they pull out the Yasuo. I think this is the first Yasuo. Oh no, we did have a Yasuo week 1, but I think this is the first time we've seen it from Yaoke Infinite for sure.
Oh yeah, and this is going to be really, really good synergy from the Ornn and the Zac. I don't know what bot lane they have in mind, but I feel like the support should play around Yasuo a little bit. They're going to need to find a way to counteract the synergy from Yasuo with the rest of the team, though, because Yasuo is going to be a huge part of those team fights. He does a surprising amount of damage if he's ahead, or even if he's.
He has so many options at this point. Zac has multiple knockups. Ornn has multiple knockups. Even most of the supports that they could pick here could have knockups. If they want to run the Alistar back, that could be an option, and that is just a team playing around their mid laner, which I will say, the win condition was a little bit on the Lucian shoulders last game, and we saw how Cog Midas attacked that win condition. It's much more difficult to attack a mid laner, especially a Yasuo at that, with such mobility that he has.
Well, it also depends on who's trying to attack that Yasuo. So the Nautilus, if Yasuo is level 3 by the time the Nautilus decides to roam, if they try to prevent that early roam, I feel like it would be very good. But let's say that he does get that early roam before level 3, Yasuo dies instantly, and there's not really that much he can do about it unless he dodges the 12-foot radius of the Nautilus hook. But if they manage to early gank mid and get that Yasuo pretty much stomped into the ground, he's going to have to farm his way through this, and it's going to be really, really annoying for him trying to come back, especially into a Shin and a Vayne and a Nautilus. Such a very hard to play against team composition for Yasuo, especially when they pick Annie. Could this get any worse?
They haven't locked it in just yet, but the pick will be locked in. So Yasuo does have ways to play against Annie, Windwall being a very good one of them. He also can utilize his dash. his E rather, to escape from some of the CC that she can. Like if she does place Tibbers down and he is in E at the motion, he will not get hit by the stun that can come out. So there are little key ways to outplay, but I'm more worried about the team fight. And what? Oh my god, they baited me. I was about to say, what a good choice of people to pick. But Jinx will be locked in, so good answer into the vein. I really hope they didn't bait me too hard. I would love to see a Blitzcrank come out here. It would be amazing pick potential with the Yasuo, with the Zac, and with the Jinx damage that could come out and make her get excited. And maybe, just maybe, it is also a good pick into the Nautilus, but I'm going to stop harping on that because we don't know exactly what could be picked here just yet. Looking at the rest of the team comp, they are in a very good spot. Ultimately, Maokai comes out, and I'm very disappointed, but it is also a good team fight ultimate that you see here. You do also see a lot of lane presence with the Maokai. He is able to withstand so much in lane because of his passive, because he gets that health regen, and the aftershock route, if you decide to take that, makes him really tanky, especially early. Into stuff like the Nautilus and Vayne, though, I believe Vayne will have the upper hand until about level 3 or 4. And to round out the comp for Cog Midas, they pick up the Xin Zhao.
Oh, this is not easy to look at. Okay, so for Yao Campin, I can respect what they're trying to do, massive team fight potential. But there is a huge disadvantage. They have no magic damage unless Zachary decides to build Darkseal again and just microwave people. Besides that, I mean, they have no source of magic damage. So that's going to be very, very easy to play against for Cog Midas because they only have to itemize against one source of damage. But at the same time, if any of these champions gets ahead, it doesn't matter what you build. They're going to eventually manage to just hyperscale and win the game because Yasuo does carry very hard. Jinx carries very hard. And on top of that, with the Ornn items and the Zac having his passive, later on having like 3-4k HP, it's going to be hard if Cog Midas actually allows them to scale to that point. They need to be able to put them behind early. And I'm going to go ahead and say I'm expecting a lot of Nautilus roams. I'm going to expect an Annie stun and then Nautilus hook auto, all that stuff, making them basically useless. They're making that Yasuo useless. That'll be a very big blow to the side of Yao Infinite if Yasuo gets behind. Same thing for Jinx, because those are the only two actual damage champions. So if those two champions get behind, it's going to be extremely difficult.
I do want to point out that we've seen a lot of Zac that goes AP, still bringing things like Aftershock, but just augmenting into the AP burst. And then we do see Maokai's support specifically that like to build the supportive burst AP item that empowers your allies' attacks with AP damage on top of that. If those two do build in that sense, it will balance out the damage scaling or the damage graph a little bit more. The one thing I do want to count here is the massive amount of CC that Yaoke Infinite has. You do have a lot of CC coming out from Cog Midas, but Ornhorn on top of knockups, on top of Zakar, on top of knockups, on top of Yasuo, on top of Maokairu, on top of Chomp, there's just so much that you have to navigate through. And when you're playing around an objective like a dragon, like a baron, like a rift herald, you don't have that much space to maneuver. A lot of these ultimates, a lot of these abilities are going to cover a full lane, let alone a full area in the river. So you're going to have to kite. You're going to have to play these things, these team fights rather, in a very good manner, a very disciplined manner. If you do not, you can see yourself losing this game very quickly as Jinx hyperscales. You get her a couple of kills, she will take the game over. That is no doubt. You already mentioned that, as does Yasuo. So I want to see how these team fights play out. Once again, I think I'm going to give my choice here over to Yaoke Infinite. I know I am like kind of casting cursing right now, but I do think their team comp is just better if they execute it properly.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw my support behind Cog Midas. I'm all about disengage in team fights, and they have a very good disengage. Annie stuns coming out with Vayne Condemn, coming out with Zenja Ultimate. and just the amount of peel they have for the Vayne, Nautilus, anti-stuns, Shin, so good for that Vayne. So I'm gonna say 60-40 for Cock Midas.
Okay, well, we are going to throw it to a short break, and when we return, we'll jump straight in the game. Everybody, please stick here with us, and remember to follow. When we get to 500 followers, we will be doing a keyboard and mouse giveaway, and then when we get to 1,000 followers, we will be doing a headset giveaway. I'm sorry, I am tongue-tied right now. It's been a long day, but stick with us here. We'll be back shortly.
It's cold and losing my control. Your light is gone, and lonely darkness fill my soul. I wish that you could save me from my isolation. It's way too complicated. Let's start this conversation. Let's start this conversation. We got no relation. Your light is gone, and lonely darkness fill my soul. I wish that you could save me from my isolation. It's way too complicated. Let's start this conversation. Let's start this conversation. We got no relation. Well, I woke up on the lobby floor. Yeah, last night was some kind of war. I'm coming down like a waterfall. I check my phone, but you never call. Lost in the ceiling, caught up in the ceiling. I can't seem to let it go. Locked in this cage, I've been stuck here for days, and I can't seem to let you go. You pulled me up and I put you down. You gave me love, then I stole your crown. You let me in, then I pushed you out. Come let me make up for all these pain. I've been a mess tied by all these chains. Open my eyes, now I finally see. Shut the key, yeah. Can we be free? You pull me up, yeah. Can we be free? everything but you next to me. I know that I've been the enemy, but I've had my moment of gravity. Lost in the ceiling, caught up in the ceiling, I can't seem to let it go. Locked in this cage, I've been stuck here for days and I can't seem to let you go. You pull me up and I put you down. You gave me love, then I stole your crown. You let me in, then I pushed you out. Come let me make up for all these pain. I've been a mess, tied by all these chains. Open my eyes, now I finally see. Turn the key, yeah. Can we be free? You pull me up, yeah. Can we be free? And I put you down. You gave me love, then I stole your crown. You let me in, then I pushed you out. Don't let me make up for all these pain.
Hello everyone and welcome back. Yes, we do have Infinite on the blue side. I was a little confused there for a second. And we have Cog Midas on the red side. We see a little bit of an invade here. They're going for a similar one that they pulled last time to get the Lucian's Flash, but this time towards this bot side. Towards 4,000 here on the Jinx, but a nice ward. Basically making sure they are aware of this possible gank, or possible invade here rather. And I don't think they're going to get anything this time. Maokai does put another ward down, so they're going to know if they stay here. But yeah, nothing doing. I'm glad there was this adaptation here, because last time it was a huge issue that the Lucian's Flash was burned early.
Yeah, that ultimately, put him at a huge disadvantage from those ganks coming out from Viego. So now, I mean, they fully prepared for it. They knew it was coming, and they played around it, which is beautiful.
Yeah, and we are going to see some different keystones here than what I am usually used to seeing. We see lethal tempo on Vayne, but also lethal tempo on Jinx and Yasuo. Normally I see Conquer on Yasuo, and for Jinx I think normally I see... Actually, I do think normally I see lethal tempo. With the changes that were made to it, it is really good for her rockets at max stacks. So I think that one's actually pretty normal. But I think Hail of Blades is usually what I see on Vayne, and for Yasuo Conquer, like I said before.
I don't know what server you're playing on, but for Vayne, I always see lethal tempo on Vayne unless it's a matchup specific thing. Same thing for Yasuo. I mean, it's very matchup specific. But I mean, for Yasuo into this team comp, I can absolutely agree with a lethal tempo. Conqueror would have a lot of value for the extra adaptive damage, but I mean, for the most part, I completely agree with the keystones coming out. We do have Vayne and Maokai with exhaust, so that should make the lane a little bit more spicy. But I mean, for the most part, runes and keystones look pretty normal to me. Summoner spells, I mean, I do normally see any with teleport. I see this is pretty much cookie cutter stuff.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of variety never hurt anyone, so we will see probably just menial trading across the lanes right now. I don't expect anything to get too spicy. Zac is good around 3, so we might see a gank here. Maybe some jungle skirmishing coming out from Xin Zhao and Zac, but I don't think it's really going to result in much. Just, health bar trading. Actually, Xin Zhao is here in mid, but not even going to burn the flash off the Yasuo. It's not really much doing here. A little bit of damage coming out from the Jinx, and Nautilus does eat it, but it is Aftershock Maokai, so you're not really going to push him out of lane just yet.
Yeah, and I want to see a level 3 gank from Zachary to the bot side specifically, because that would snowball the Jinx a little bit faster. That would make the snowball happen sooner if he manages to get a kill or even a double kill over to the Jinx early on. That would severely help his team out. But at the same time, if it does manage to go bad, because there is a Vayne with exhaust, and there is no ignite on the side of Infinite. in the bot side. So it should make it a little bit harder to have that extra pressure whenever those ganks happen. And I think he's looking for a gank right now. Beautiful.
Yeah,
Maybe a
but
little bit.
if we could have the observer toggle vision, I don't think that he's going to be able to get that. Yeah, there is the ward in the tri-bush, so they did confidently place that ward and back off, and now it's going to be Xin Zhao just getting nothing out of mid. So a lot of posturing here, honestly, in the early stages, as Ornn has taken a good decisive lead here. He was getting chunked down early, but now it's all for naught. And a huge brittle proc coming through, but you're just trading tank slap fights in the top side. That's all it's going to be.
Yeah, there's actually a really, really big wave stacked up by the Ornn, and he just gets the back without having to waste anything. No way he actually tries to freeze that, right? It's way too big to try to freeze.
Possibly. I don't think he's going to have the means to do so unless he wants to eat massive chunks of health damage from this wave. But even so, Ornn can just call Zac up there, and Shin is not really going to be the character that is going to be, able to survive that much CC. And he might just die for his troubles, is going to have to burn the flash, and he tried to freeze a wave. You already talked about this.
Yeah, freezing that wave as Shen, you have no D push, no wave clear. So now he's just at a huge disadvantage. Now there is Xin Zhao, so he could potentially bait this out. But trying to tower dive a Shin never goes well. It doesn't really matter who you're playing. If you try to tower dive a Shin, it's not going to work out.
Yeah, but now Zac is here, and that's just going to be first blood over to the Ornn. Zac's going to find the Xin Zhao, and he is going to get the smite off and literally live because of that. Zac trying to fight some more. Ornn still here in the wings. Zac does have his passive, so he's really not afraid to fight this. And TP does come in from Shin. I do not think there's going to be a re-engage regardless. And he does get a little bit of tempo because Ornn has to back off of how much health he lost. But that's first blood. That's 400 gold. I think that's worth in their minds. Yeah, but Yasuo with a massive ult underneath tower, and he might die for this? No, lives, and that is a huge kill onto the Annie. Both of them blew flash, and Yasuo had the ignite, so win-win.
Now, I played a little bit of Yasuo, and I was hoping that he would try to maybe Keyblade that if he had enough attack speed stacked up from lethal tempo. I really don't know. Keyblade, for those that do not know, is the hardest Yasuo combo there is. It's very flashy, but it also does a lot of damage, more damage than a normal combo because you get an extra stack of your Q off whenever you ult. So it does just a little bit more damage and helps with those tower dives. But, I mean, I love it when people play, a lot of the champions that I made. I know everyone loves it because you get to see how, higher up elo players. Okay, then.
We do have an engage onto the Maokai nonetheless. He is going to get away for the time being, but that's going to be an easy kill over to the Vayne. Doesn't really burn anything on her end, but the ignite does come out from Nautilus, and now Yasuo is just trying to bully this poor Annie in the lane. He is down in one. Never mind, I bite my own tongue on that. He is ahead in CS at this moment. Was down one just before the wave push, and probably will be down again as she does pick up those minions. But he has the kill. He has his Berserker is already done, and he doesn't really have to do much else in the lane. He's already won it, basically. He just needs to whittle down that tower and do his best to not die to any of the ganks from Xin Zhao.
Yeah, and I don't know if I completely agree. I mean, they end up getting the dragon, but they took it very, very slow. Warnhorn coming out.
And the combo might just be all he needs, but he missed. He didn't auto. The Q should come out. Yeah. So the brittle procs, you get the brittle proc from the return R, and he did not auto before he started his W, it seemed. So he did not get both of the brittle procs. He only got one, but he had enough damage between that and the Bomby Cinder and then the Q to finish up the kill. So good play on the side of Elsa, who's getting a little bit of revenge from last game, as he was 06 Lucian in lane, which is not what you wanted to see, but tanks may be more his speed, and I like the play coming out from pretty much all of Yaoke Infinite at this point in the game.
Yeah, they have a very decent early game setup. They want to go for, and there goes Yasuo.
Yep, Yasuo trying to get away from this, but Xin Zhao might just be able to convert the kill. He does, and now Oh, I thought that Zach was going to jump, but he does not. And unfortunately for him, his passive is going to be bursted out, and he is going to die in this instance. And now Rift Herald's going over, and I can't even get the words out of my mouth before they make two huge mistakes and lose Rift Herald. Like, my goodness, I just got to stop talking when I talk for a team, because at this point it's just spelling their downfall. But as we look at the gold, Cog Midas is up about 600 gold at this point, and they do have the Rift Herald in pocket, so we will expect that to go up. Mid lane seems to be their target, trying to accelerate this Annie, which, if she gets ahead, can be a problem. As we see, Maokai go in onto the Vayne. Nautilus already burned a lot of his CC. Exhaust does come down onto the Jinx, but now she's excited. Maokai does have more CC coming up. He does knock the Nautilus back, and unfortunately for Nautilus, that's going to be his death. He doesn't even blow the flash. He knows that he's dead, and that is going to be a double kill in the bot lane.
Yeah, that's very, very good for the side of Yao Infinite. That Jinx getting those, or that killing the assist. But we do also okay now.
Yasuo roaming up, and he stops for just a moment, but doesn't even matter. I was like, why did he stop when the knockup was there? But it does not matter in the end. Another knockup comes through from the Ornn, and Yasuo able to get the assist there as Ornn does pick up the kill. And so much of this gold advantage now that has creeped back for Yaoke Infinite is on the top side of the map. You do have Jinx that's pretty accelerated, and Ornn flashes the W from Xin Zhao, so I believe he will be able to get out of here. Oh, but Xin Zhao might just die as Yasuo hasn't completely left the premises just yet. He might get jumped on here. Q does come through, as does the E, but he's able to E away safely onto the minion. And I like what Yaoke Infinite is doing. They're pushing the tempo. They're trying to get as much as they can from this Ornn, who's already accelerated in the matchups. He being accelerated is good for your whole team as the ornaments come through, and things like the Yasuo and the Jinx can just win off of not only the gold differential that they are netting off of the ornaments, but also the power spikes that could be given, or that are given, because the ornaments are so powerful comparative to the regular mythics in the game.
Yeah, and Ornn already being fed is actually really bad. And he's building Leandres to try to counteract some of the tankiness that they have on the side of Yaoke Infinite. But Ornn is just an entirely different level of tanky. He is disgustingly tanky most of the time. And for the most part, it doesn't really matter what items you build unless you build like 5 different armor-piercing items for each player. And I think that's just a death right there.
We might see a disengage coming through here. Zach is here, ready for the counter gank. He does manage to land a bunch of knockups, and this might just be all of the bot side of the map falling. Shin does TP down here. Zach does fall, but I don't think it's going to be worth as... Oh, no, Jinx is condemned into the wall, and Annie is now here, and it is a turnaround from Cog Midas. Maokai running away. I've seen that skid way too much, but it's going to be his death. He's trying to kill the Vayne, but just out of reach, and Annie gets the kill there for the cleanup.
Yeah, this is the early game lead being thrown now, because now Ornn is the only one who is actually, doing good to the point where he can 1v1 or even 2v1. And, that gank bot side where Shin had to ult it down, if I'm not mistaken, he just responds by taking some of those turret plates. But he's really the only one that's doing good. And that's really bad that a tank is like that, because even though they're going to be practically unkillable, they're going to have no source of DPS in these fights. So that means that the tank is either going to be completely stuffed when he has to, take the damage for his team, because they won't be able to respond to anything. And it's just, how are they going to be able to come back? Because Andy already has Mythic. Yasuo doesn't have even Noon Quiver yet, because he hasn't really been able to do that much in his own lane. He killed Annie one time.
Annie does have her Mythic and 4 stacks on the Dark Seal. Nautilus with the Hex Flash might come over the wall. He does. Can he land the hook, though? I doubt, as the Wind Wall is still available for the Yasuo. A lot of skirmishing still here in the top lane, and Zach is going to decide against jumping in. This will be the second drag picked up by Cog Midas, and depending on what soul, this could be very beneficial to them. We do see a little bit of a mistiming on the Ornn knockup. Excuse me. And a good flash from the Shin here. Ornn taking a lot of tower shots, trying to bait the Shin in, and unfortunately for him, it's not going to be enough. Yasuo does block the wind wall, but that tower is on its last legs as the first tower does go over to the side of Yao Infinite, and Yasuo is going to accept the defeat of mid lane and back off here.
Yeah, and at this point, Yasuo needs to be going into a side lane to get that solo XP and to get that solo gold, and to really start to get his CS back up, and so that way he gets items and stuff. As a Yasuo, playing into the team composition that Cog Midas has built, it's not exactly ideal, but it's going to be very hard for him to do that as far behind as he is.
We do see Yasuo pick up the solo kill onto the Annie, and now Xin Zhao's doing his best to kill the Yasuo. A lot of damage coming out from the Xin Zhao, and now Zac is trying his best to keep himself alive as he fights the Xin Zhao, and Ornn TP's down and probably finds the double kill here. Shin is ulting on top of the Nautilus. He's half health though, so unfortunately for him, he might just be another victim of the Ornn. Unfortunately for Ornn, he does not have the ult up, but he does have the knock up, and he's going to get stuffed as far as that brittle proc goes, but he finds the second one, and down goes Shin. He trades his life for Nautilus's, which I don't believe is good at this point in the game, and Nautilus gets out, but it's still a double kill for Ornn.
Yeah, Ornn getting those kills. Now, keep in mind that Vayne is a very wide-renowned tank shredder, and Ornn is a tank, so I feel like one of the only, true counters to Ornn is Vayne. We also do have to remember that Vayne got a double kill right before Ornn picked up those couple of kills. So now it's a lot more difficult for Ornn to be able to play the game because that Vayne now is 4-2. It already has Shield Bone, which is actually a lot of sustain, so now he's just going to have to go some kind of heal cut. And he should have been going heal cut early on anyway because of the Xin Zhao. Maybe not early on, but now he should be building into it. And it's going to be very, very important because the Vayne healing, because the Xin Zhao healing from his every third auto heals, and on top of that he has Gore Drinker. And it's just, there's going to be a lot of healing, especially since what? No, this is just a Mountain Soul. Okay, I thought it was Cloud Soul. I mean, not Cloud, Ocean Soul. Don't really know why. Trying to figure that out. But there's going to be, there needs to be some kind of heal cut coming in from both sides.
For sure, and I am going to highlight something that, actually, Ornn might just die here. Timber's running him down at this point, but unfortunately for Annie, he TP's back and is going to be the reason that she gets knocked up in the first place. Maybe Zac can secure this kill, but even if he does, he does get the kill. His passive resets, but the tick damage on the Timbers might just kill him. This is so awkward to watch. He does end up living in the last piece right there. Definitely a clippable moment, if not a highlight. I was trying to say before that whole skirmish happened that we talked about before the game, the magic damage that there was a lack of on Yaoke Infinite. Now, I will say that the Mythic Sunfire Aegis does apply magic damage around you because of the Bomb Cinder and whatnot. But there's not a true AP dealer on the team. And since both Zac and Maokai have augmented into these tanky builds, it is going to be a little difficult for the side of Yaoke Infinite if all members of Cog Midas augment into armor instead of, anything else. So they're going to lose a lot of their damage.
That is actually a good point. I didn't really think about Sunfire, the damage from Sunfire. But like as you also said, there's not really that much of magic damage. Like take Annie, the damage coming out from Annie compared to Sunfire is not exactly, a close number to each other. So, I mean, they might be able to have like a small amount of MR, but it shouldn't really, they don't really, I don't think that they should waste, items specifically designed around MR, maybe not like a Force of Nature. They could potentially opt into a Spirit Visage because of the extra healing that they get, as well as, the added bonus of having that MR. But, like the Yasuo could do that. Wait, no, not Yasuo. Xin Zhao can do that. I guess Shin can maybe opt into it, but even then, he's kind of behind anyway, so it's not going to help him out that much.
Yeah, you do also see a lot of people augment into health, as health is really good versus AP, opposite of Leandry's, but the AP that they do have on the side of Yaoke Infinite. So we might see Shin go into something like a Titanic Hydra. We see probably a Frost, or excuse me, we see the chainmail come out from Xin Zhao, so it's either going to be a Randuin's Omen or the one that slows attack speed. I am blanking on the name at the current moment, but that one is also an option
Doesn't
as we
matter.
see this third dragon come up for a fight. Xin Zhao does pop ult rather early here as Jinx is on the backline. Ornhorn does come through, but unfortunately, I don't think he's going to be able to get it off as Annie's Sun does come down. Yasuo finds the pick into the backline. Xin Zhao finds the kill on Jinx across the fight, and now we just have a bunch of knockups coming through. Yasuo doing the damage that he can. Xin Zhao does find another kill onto the Yasuo, and I think they're going to run away with their tails between their legs for the side of Cog Midas as they lose that fight 3-2.
And there's that huge amount of CC coming in from, the airbornes from, we didn't really see that many from Ornn because he was CC'd that duration. Look at this, the worth of this Rift Herald. Now Maokai is just going to go have to respond to that, basically leaving those two to deal with the dragon by themselves. I don't think they have enough DPS for it. Oh,
No, they most definitely do. Remember that Sunfire Aegis was reworked at the beginning of the season because it actually did too much damage to Baron and Dragon, but it is still a good damage dealer as a lot of tanks build it and are often able to, I'm trying to put this in a nice way, out-damage, foolishly out-damage some of the damage people, more damage building people in the game. Things such as Mundo and, let's see, even things like Urgot, who now build Aegis or Frostfire instead of things like true damage, which is kind of upsetting for a lot of people. It's kind of why the tank meta was a thing. But nevertheless, it is a part of the game, so we have to adapt to it now. And we see a Spirit Visage component come out from Zac, so we might actually see a Spirit Visage from him.
Yeah, and there is a considerable, amount of, okay, Yasuo, don't go too crazy.
Oh, what
Beautiful
a
wind wall.
ingenious wind wall right there. Blocks both the Condemn from Vayne and the hook from Nautilus. I just had to highlight that play because that was a good one.
Yeah, that was very well played by him. But, having MR against an Annie is basically a negate turn. Normally it would. Okay, now.
We see a little bit of a fight break out. Nautilus is in range, but that doesn't matter when Yasuo is there and you have a Zac. We already talked about the amount of knockups on this team, and now Vayne shuts down the Zac on the back end, or on top of the Vayne, trying his best to get some damage off. Shen running away with his tail between his legs. The tower falls in the bot side, so he does have a little bit of reprieve. Vayne jumping in, flashing forward, finds the Quadra, might just have the Penta, does auto-attack the red buff, and I think Ornn's going to get away. No! That would have been the second Penta of the league. Unfortunately for Cog Midas, he's not able to secure that. And oh my goodness, what a aggressive play from the Vayne, flashing forward into the middle of all the remaining members of Yaoke Infinite and finding 2 more kills.
Yeah, that Quadra kill is going to absolutely snowball her out of control. Especially since, no one else besides Ornn is doing good. Now she has no damage content, her damage is going to be uncontested as soon as she recalls. She gets that, I would assume she's going to go either, what's the name of that? Rage Blade next. She's either going to go Rage Blade or just opt into the Bork. One way or another, she's going to do massive amounts of damage. And they really can't itemize against it. Oh, she opts for a QSS. That's very interesting. So she's going to go the Rage Blade component.
I am very curious about the QSS as well, as we know that it does not cleanse knockups, and that is a large portion of what is going to be affecting you from the side of Yaoke Infinite. But I also want to point out, look at the breakdown of gold, if we can. Most of that gold is on the Vayne. She has almost 10k at just under 23 minutes, and that is ridiculous. She is, if she would have not stopped from the QSS, she would have been just about 3 items in just under 23 minutes. That is a very accelerated Vayne, a very good way to keep yourself in the game or to keep yourself ahead is by having your ADC, have such a lead.
Yeah, and now they just get to do this Baron, and there's really nothing that Yaoke Infinite can do. They get this Baron uncontested, had enough, pressure and just fear into the hearts of Yaoke Infinite, and they capitalize on that. They realize it and capitalize on it. Now all they need to do is just not die. They have to not die, keep macro going, and here comes the Ornhorn.
It looks like the Ornhorn is going to connect. He also finds the R onto Annie. Gonna force out Annie's R, but that's not really going to do a whole lot. Oh, but the Jinx Rocket does find the clean up there onto the Annie in mid lane. So a nice pick, but unfortunately for them, Shin is pushing down this bot side. He is going to get this tower as there's not going to be a response quick enough. But unfortunately, they're not going to get the tower. Zach is down here, and Ornn is in the vicinity. Zach, unfortunately, not going to be able to knock him up. But Yasuo and a lot more are roaming down. So this might be another pickoff on the Shin. He is doing his best to keep everyone at bay. And the rest of his team is roaming down. Shin forced to flash. And he does get knocked up by the Ornn. Another knockup comes through. More knockups coming through. And the damage coming out from the side of Cog Midas is nothing to scoff at as a TP comes on the bot side of the fight. Ornn trying his best to keep Xin Zhao at bay. Annie over the wall trying to kill as well. And unfortunately for them, Yasuo falls already in the fight. Ornn does not fall, however, and is able to help his team knock up and kill everyone on the side of Cog Midas except for the Annie, as that is going to be a clean 4K for Infinite.
I do not think that Shin should have been bot side at that point. Split pushing, yeah, I mean, that's fine. As soon as he saw that team leave, he should have just left. Forget the turn. That's what he tried to do, but he did it too late. And honestly, either he made the decision to just stay in their base and run directly in a straight line, towards the inhibitor, or you just leave the turret completely and just away. And I feel like he had too much indecision, and he just straight up builds anything with chains. That's interesting to me. But as a result of his failure to decide, I am mentally not doing okay. Failure to make a decision, he cost his entire team the Baron buff. Wait,
Annie.
Was
I want to highlight Annie was dead because of the mid lane pick that came through. So the other 4 dropping in that team fight did reduce. I think completely killed the Baron buff. But now we might see a pick out as Xin Zhao does jump onto the Zac. Knocks him up when he tries to go over the wall. Zac does end up smiting for additional health here, but I think he might just fall. He is very tanky at this point in the game. Xin Zhao trying to go for another knockup. The Vayne Condemn comes as soon as Zac lands, and we see a cross-map fight here as now the Ornhorn is coming through. He does land the knockup onto several members. Maokai still living at this point, gets the kill onto the Nautilus. Xin Zhao dies as well, and woo! That Vayne is absolutely deleted. They will get an answer kill back onto the Maokai, but unfortunately for them, that's going to be 4 members of Cog Midas going down, baby.
And the sad part is there's no objectives up right now for them to take. Otherwise, that would have been an instant call for that objective. The only thing they can really do is just shove out lanes. That's exactly what Yasuo is doing. He's shoving up outside, creating that split push setup on the map. Now, he's honestly should just keep on going because, I really don't know if Shin has the capacity to kill him, but we'll see.
Yeah, Yasuo does have that R coming just back up. I believe it is up now. Yes, he does land the tornado, and unfortunately for him, he is taunted, so he's not going to be able to continue fighting, but that's only for the moment as Shin is forced to back here. Maybe going to pick up this wave, but Yasuo's definitely going to back away.
Yeah, and now there's so many bad team fights on each side. The gold gets evened out, then there's a bad fight, and then Infinite gets ahead on gold, or Cog Midas gets ahead on gold. There's too many bad fights and too many expressions of disrespect on each side. They don't really respect each other that much. They don't really respect the damage or the team fight potential that each team has. Like the Vayne, she's fed out of her mind. Jinx is now fed out of her mind. Orange fed out of his mind. Zac is fed out of his mind. There's so much on the side of Infinite they have to be worried about. And instead of respecting that, Cog Midas decides to say, okay, we're just going to put Vayne in there and we're just going to win, and they lose. Or sometimes they win because, Infinite made a mistake. And it's so they need to have more of a structured form of play in order to, actually manage to win this game before things just spiral out of control with Vayne. And it's going to be interesting to see how they try to manage that.
Yeah, when we look at Infinite, they do have mythics, the ornament mythics upgraded already for the Yasuo and for the Jinx. Those are 2 huge upgrades so far. And I want to point out, this team is tanky. Very tanky. Jinx relatively squishy. Yasuo is pretty tanky. The shielding that comes through with the lifesteal that comes through with that upgraded Ornn Mythic there is massive. And they already have 2 Mountain Drakes, which also is going to lead into this engagement here. Ornhorn does land on the Xin Zhao. He does manage to get a double knockup. Yasuo comes through, and unfortunately for them, Xin Zhao pops ultimate, so he's not going to be able to get hit by anything outside of that sphere. Unfortunately for Cog Midas, though, they lose their Nautilus and are forced to back away. And now, Baron coming up in just under 15 seconds. I do believe this is going to be a Baron call.
Yeah, I mean, even though Yasuo is low, he has that healing. Zachary's low, but he heals a discuss. Yeah, he's in right now. Honestly, thought he smited a cannon, camp, but no, you're not really able to focus. But this should be a Baron setup. I don't know if it's a Baron call because the status of the wave and just the amount of vision they don't have. It's just too risky at that point. What Infinite needs to do is just set up for that Baron, but not actually do it. If anything, just bait for it. But, I mean, I guess they're just going to wait a minute.
It's actually Cog Midas walking over to the Baron, trying to burn it down, as Infinite's kind of stuck in between here. But they do have that very, very good ward placement by their support, I do believe. And unfortunately for them, Xin Zhao has already slain the Baron. Yasuo does go on to the Vayne, who is going to get deleted at this point. The rocket does land on the Annie, but it's not enough to kill him. You got one Baron off. You did kill the Vayne, but now your consolation prize is Soul Point with the Mountain Soul, and you get to push out waves, but you're pushing into a Baron. So it's just a really good timing by Cog Midas, a really unpredictable play that got them the Baron. And I mean, you lost one, but it was worth in the end.
Yeah, actually, what I'm thinking right now, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm almost to the point where I just want to call this game and say that Infinite is just going to win because outscaling. Because look at the types of dragons they have. They have 3 mountain dragons: Ornn, Zac, and Maokai. I don't know about you, Panda, or anyone in chat, but I feel like that is a huge problem for Cog Midas because the resistances are increased by a percentage, not like a flat number. That is very, very bad for Cog Midas. And if they don't manage to get this last soul, I mean, this last dragon from them from getting soul, that's just going to be a game over at that point. They're going to be too tanky. They're going to take a lot of damage but not die, especially coming from the Vayne. You know, Vayne's their main source of damage. So as soon as she falls, and it's easy for her to fall if she gets CC'd. And I feel like that's why she tried to build that QSS. But like you said, there's too many knockups. You know, the only thing that it's actually going to be useful for, maybe the Maokai stuns and the roots. I don't really know about anything else. Maybe the Jinx traps, but where it actually matters, they don't have that. That QSS is basically worthless.
Yeah, and if production could gloss over the ornament mythic on the Maokai, I've never seen this upgraded. It's even Shroud, but it upgrades to Equinox. So this is a huge item in itself, but Equinox makes it even better, as now immobilizing champions causes them to take 9% increased damage from all sources for 4 seconds. That is massive in a team fight when you have Maokai using his ult, using his root, using his knockback. There's so much CC in immobilization that comes out from him alone. Taking 9% more damage from all the AoE magic damage that's coming from the Sunfire Aegis from both Ornn and Zac, and then all the damage is coming from the Jinx rockets, from the Yasuo Qs, everything that's coming through. No wonder these guys have been dropping like flies whenever they actually do get into a team fight. This is almost impossible for them, as they can't even get through the front line of Infinite. Ornn has yet to die. He is 8-0-12 in this game. You cannot get through the front line, and you're getting knocked up, slapped each and every way, and guess what? You take more damage while you do it. That's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, and the dragons, too. I mean, look at the amount of armor that Nautilus has. He has 218 armor. And he has, maybe 2 completed items with boots? That's huge. And Ornn has 366. Like, who's going to be able to fight that? Zachary has 229, which is surprisingly low. But he did opt for that Spirit Visage, so I guess that's why it's so low. You know, not really trying to build only for, armor. But I mean, this is looking really, really bad for Cog Midas.
I want to point out something too, just to add a little bit insult to injury. Xin Zhao was over there taking the blue from Yaoke Infinite, and Zach just bounces over there and smites it right in front of him to take it back. So a little bit of insult there on top of what's already happening in the game, as Yaoke Infinite is up by 2,500 gold in 10 kills, which is massive in the scope of the game and the tempo that they've been able to establish. And now you're looking at Drag, which is just over a minute out. How do you fight? How does Cog Midas fight into this Drag?
I don't think they can fight. You know, they're not grouped. Oh, they are grouped up. Okay. Well, there's only 4 of them. Where's the 5th one? Shin? Oh, he's down there. His ultimate up though, so I think that they actually have what it takes to be able to contest that. But instead they just opt to shove mid, which I guess is actually really good here if they manage to take that tier 2 mid, because then the waves are shoving to the side of Yaoke Infinite, meaning that they could just straight up say, you know, send someone mid or send someone bot lane and shove that out as far and as fast as you can to punish them for taking this dragon.
Yeah, Drag's 37 seconds out, so Cog Midas decides, hey, we're going to take this tower. You're giving us all of this space, all of this inside track, and we're going to use it. So they might not get it, though, but unfortunately for them, Yaoke Infinite is here. Ornn misses his knockup on the second track of his ulti. Nautilus over the wall hits a massive R, but unfortunately for them, Yasuo finds a way to get into the backline, and Jinx is free-firing over the wall. Jinx finds a kill. Another kill might come through onto the Xin Zhao, as she is excited. She is ready to kill, and a double kill. All that for nothing, as the tier 3, the inhibitor turret, does not even fall, and Zach's going to be able to meander over to Dragon and take it alone while his whole team pushes up mid.
Yeah, and this should honestly just be a game ender right there. I mean, I don't even think Zach needs to do the Dragon. He can just go mid with his team and end. You know, his tankiness and his damage is going to be vital for that. So, I mean, honestly, I don't even think he needs to go down there. You know, even if he chooses to go down there, it's just going to be, you know, harder, but it's still going to be very possible. This is just a game ender.
Nautilus tries his best to do anything there, but unfortunately for him, he is knocked up, slapped around, and Yasuo does ult him, and that's going to be it for game number 2. We have an even series! We knew it was going to be close, but it does end up 1-1 through 2 games, and I want to give immediately my MVP to Ornn. 10-0-14. What a turnaround from game 1, where on the Lucian he was pretty much non-existent. I am so happy to see that turnaround from him, and my goodness, was that a banger of a game for Yaoke Infinite.
Yeah, for Ornn, the KDA numbers swapped over. Pretty much, it was night and day. But I think I would give mine to Ornn as well. The Ornn items coming out. And not only that, he didn't die. You know, I'm borderline wanting to give it to Zach, but I feel like Ornn had a much more nail in the coffin presence in team fights. You know, Maokai was there with his Equinox, and Zach was there, you know, just doing Zach things. But all in all, I think it was the Ornn that actually managed to win those fights for his team.
Yes, we are going to get into Game 3 draft when we return from the break, but I do want to remind you guys, if you're not already, follow the channel. If you have a subscription, please subscribe. We are trying to grow. We are trying to build this community, and obviously we're trying to play some amazing games of League of Legends, as you see in the stream today. One last thing before we go to break, it's just a little personal thing. I did predict Yaoke Infinite in the channel, so I did win all the channel points. Just you know, it feels good sometimes. That's just my last thing. But we will return soon, and please stick here with us as we go to break.
And starting fights, turning truth to lies. Gotta get up, stop wasting time. Yeah, I wanna run off and fly.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. As we get into the draft here, we do have Cog Midas switching back over to the blue side. Tongue twister a little bit. And we have Yaoke Infinite on the red side. We do see some more, I would say a little bit of reaction bands coming out, as we still have the LeBlanc, the Victor, and now the Ornn on the band on the side of Yaoke Infinite. For Cog Midas, they banned Aatrox, the reaction ban on the Yasuo, and then the Volibear, which they've been having as a ban for pretty much all three of these games. What are you expecting to come out of this draft, Zed?
Honestly, I was not expecting an Ezreal to be covered, but hey, it happens. But I want to see a different style of team composition. I like the team fight, and I think that they still need to have a decent team fight. But I also want to see a very skill expressive team come out, if you know what I mean. So like strong solo laners that also have a good team fight. So if they can make it to where like they're on champions that they know how to, they're all on champions that they know how to play, that's the team fights that I think would be really interesting. Because they're like, yeah, sure, you have really good team fight compositions, but if you don't know how to play it, then it's no fun, right? If you're all champions you have like a decent amount of experience with, it really doesn't matter what kind of composition you build around that. They're all going to know exactly what they need to do. Now, it is a very solo queue thing, and this is team play of those two very different styles of League of Legends. But if they know and like actually have experience with those champions, I feel like that'll spice the game up and have some like clip-worthy 1v1s or 1v2s.
Yeah, and we do see a early Ahri pick come out here, and we have seen the Ahri versus Vex matchup. We actually saw it Tuesday, I believe, and Vex won that one pretty heavily. So we will have to see how this iteration of the matchup goes. Jinx, pretty much a staple at this point in all leagues. She's so powerful when she gets a couple of kills under her belt or is able to get accelerated, or get excited rather. And she was an answer into the Ezreal, so I'm expecting to see supports come through as the next pick for both of these teams. We've seen Cog pick Nautilus, I think, both games so far. Are you expecting another Nautilus pick here, or what do you think? We
I mean,
only
I
got
wouldn't be
5
surprised.
seconds. So.
We're not up. There we go. There's that team fight champion member. I'll tell you what, and especially with the
Definitely,
Jinx.
yeah,
If the Jinx gets caught with that Renata ult, oh man.
could spell disaster for Yaoke Infinite with the way that Jinx can operate once she gets excited. But I do see a lot of the time certain teams will shy away from fighting around objectives with Renata. And it will be a huge boon to Yaoke Infinite if they are able to get something with more pick out potential here. Now, I'm not saying a Blitzcrank would be the optimal choice, but something. Ooh,
Let's see
we
what they say
do
about it.
have a miss pick
That's a
here.
Zillion pick.
That is a
It wouldn't let
Zillion
him pick. It's
Okay.
a Zillion pick.
For some reason, Zillion was botched on there, but imagine that third pick is Zillion, which I like that pick, actually. It's very good into Renata. It's basically Renata W on an R that's better. You get to do things like bait out entirety of the team and then collapse on the person with the R and then basically push forward. We do see a lot of the time when Zillion has his R up, he will wait till the last second. We saw that fantastic mid Zillion who waited till the last second on his top lane and absolutely saved his life. Remember that about a week ago, I think. Fantastic game, fantastic plays, and I'm hoping to see more of that come out so far. We do get the Zac ban. Yeah, I do think that's going to actually go through. I don't think they want to give over Zac anymore. Yes. So J4 and Zac ban for the respective teams, and I think we'll see a lot more targets as far as top and jungle here, as those are the two positions that aren't selected yet. I want to see Yaoke Infinite pick up their jungler in R4. I need to see that. I need to see Elsa get that top lane counter pick, and I hope this time it's not going to be a Lucian that goes 1-9.
Yeah, I feel like Elsa's thing, like his play style is bruiser or just tanks. I feel like he's used to taking a lot of damage and not dying, and that's why the Lucian was so hard for him to play because he plays like his brain is set to like, okay, I can take this much damage playing these other champions, so he just automatically goes to that mindset of, okay, I can take damage. But when his health bar is at like 2%, he's like, what happened? What book did I miss?
We do see the Viego get banned here as well, and then the Poppy ban comes through. So full targets on the jungle in round 2 of the bans. I expect a nice team fight jungler here, maybe something along the lines of Gwen, something that can keep herself alive as well as dodging out and doing a lot of damage. But the profile might be a little bit too AP leaning, so I am okay with maybe a Xin Zhao here for Yaoke Infinite. We did see Cog with that last time, but it is a good pick nonetheless. And Sejuani comes out. So this is someone talked about this in chat earlier, I believe, that the jungler for Yaoke Infinite has to get their stuff together or else they're going to be playing Sejuani for the rest of the season. So I'm interested to see why he chose Sejuani. I kind of hope he, pops off and has this MVP so we can chat with him about that. If not, we'll probably chat with, his teammate given if they win the game. But the response to that seems to be a Vi, which I like that. A lot of lockdown potential. The R is unstoppable. It helps you get on some of these squishier targets like the Jinx, like the Zillion, and is going to be a big boon for your team because if she gets on the back line, you can have Vex dive in, you can have Ezreal shoot his ult across, Renata's ult can follow up, and there's a lot of just unpredictability that can come through with multiple Rs and multiple team fight abilities flying through. So I'm excited for that. In top lane, we will have the Urgot. So I'm a little less keen on their style of fight. It is going to be a mixed bag as far as who's diving and who isn't. But as soon as you see a little bit of aggression out of Cog Midas, you know that it's going to be go time. And that is something I'm really excited to look for as far as the objective fights go. And
Yeah, and there was
lastly,
a Mordekaiser. Interesting.
ooh, yes. I'll let you hash out on that one a little bit more. I think you're more equipped to talk about top lane as I am a
So
support main.
here's the thing about Mordekaiser and the Urgot. I dabble in a little bit of Mordekaiser. You know what I mean? And from what I can tell, it's a very cancerous lane. Both champions do disgusting amounts of damage, and both champions have disgusting amounts of shields that they can get. Now, Urgot's shield later on will be like smaller, but Urgot also does build tanky, so Mordekaiser's gonna have to figure out a way to dodge out on his E and basically avoid his damage from his W, meaning he will not be able to pull the Urgot closer to him because that's just asking for trouble. Now, Mordekaiser's gonna have to play this a little bit slower. Mordekaiser's a very lane bully type champion. He's very strong near the game, especially with his isolated Q. It does massive amounts of damage. He's just gonna have to farm this one out and not feed the Urgot, because if he feeds that Urgot, it will be an absolute stomp on the side of Colin Midas.
Okay, everyone's favorite time, prediction time. Who do you have to win this game?
I don't know. I mean, the Zillion, the Mordekaiser, they are very AP leaning, but Cog Midas only has like maybe one champion that can do anything with that. Like specifically with MR, Vi can go tankier, a bruiser, but besides that, Ezreal can't really itemize that well against AP. Vex herself is AP, so she's going to be just building full damage. Renata's very squishy, so I really don't think it's going to matter. I think that's a drafting error a little bit. They could have picked a little bit of tankier of a support, but that's just me. I'm gonna throw it behind Yao Infinite, honestly. And you know what? No, to make it even spicier, 70-40. No, 70-30.
Give it 110% at this
110%. No, 70-30 for Yao Infinite, full sending it, calling it no.
So the thing about it is, I think if they are able to get some of the resets, if Renata is able to play effectively around her team, and Vex is able to not lose lane, but have a showing that we saw like the previous showing against Ahri, Vex into Ahri, we will see Cog Midas run away with this game, and that is what I am most afraid about. So I'm going to lean a little bit closer to the side of air. I'm going to say 60-40 for Cog Midas, but I am going to go with their comp.
Yeah, I mean, they do have a really good comp. The problem is, they have a good engage, but where's the disengage? Sejuani has a good engage. Ahri is all about, being a menace. Jinx in the back lines, most likely with legal tempo, just doing Jinx things. And then the disengage from Zillion. That is a staple for this team. They have a very mixed team fight composition, and this is exactly what I wanted. I wanted something that shows the skill of the laners while also having a good team fight. Jinx, we already saw Jinx. She's, ADCs are hard for me to play. I just can't mentally understand how to play them. But the Mordekaiser, he's gonna have to play this very, very carefully. Sejuani, don't really know anything about that thing besides it's very tanky and does a lot of damage. The Zillion for me is what puts that staple in.
Well, we are going to throw it to a break, and when we return, we will get back into game. We appreciate everybody watching here today, and we ask that you follow the channel as we are trying to grow the community. But until we return, we hope you stick around, and we'll be back shortly.
Lit this town like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We gonna light it up. just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up, babe. Tonight we gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We gonna light it up. Lock away your last. I don't need it. Throw away your love. It's unrequited. You don't deceive me. I see very small screen. Throw away your love. You can try all you want, but you can't change me. I am stronger than you could ever hope to be. You don't deceive me. I see through some screen. Throw away your love.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back as we are going to get into game here. Yeah, okay, Infinite on the red side, Cog Midas on the blue side, and we have a little bit of a pause. I don't think this is going to last very long. Apparently, it's a water break, so you'll have to excuse us. In the meantime, we can talk about Summoners and Runes, one of our favorite pastimes. Isn't that right, Zed?
Absolutely. First thing I noticed, nobody is taking cleanse today. I love it. I love it. I love it. I think cleanse is the most useless summoner spell like in the game. There's just so many other things. It's almost like a safety net for people who can't dodge skill shots. Like when you fight a Lux, and I like whenever I see a Lux mid and I'm playing a different lane, and my mid laner takes cleanse, I just like slap my forehead with my palm. I basically palm my forehead. I'm like, dude, what's going on? Dodge the Q. Don't play
Yeah,
on lock
but
screen.
you got to remember, people are here to play safe and win the games. It's not about not being able to dodge. It's about if that end event happens. So I understand, but like you said, none of these teams have that cleanse here, and we are returning from the water break. I wanted to point out one person in particular. The Urgot up in the top lane has pressed the attack instead of traditional Conqueror. So he is going to be doing a lot more burst damage up front. And this is something that Mordekaiser is going to have to watch out for. Also, Mordekaiser brought Ghost instead of TP. So that is an interesting little adaptation there. And I think that this is one that I enjoy. We do have exhaust on Zillion, so there is a little bit of kill pressure there with exhaust going down onto Ezreal, reducing some of the damage, and then unfortunately for them, Renata's bailout does work. But if Ezreal is going to fall, it won't as long as they back off. So we'll have to see how that plays out, and if that experience ever happens, my goodness. But aside from that, how does everything look across the board to you?
Well, I don't know what. Still, I really don't know what server you play on. But I think you play on Mars, because Urgot always takes PT. I think that's like his most used room. He might go Conquer in certain matchups, but for the most part, traditional is press the attack. So that looks normal to me. But I mean, everyone's games are different. They see a lot of different things. There's no ignite in the bot lane on the side of Yao Infinite, so it's going to be a lot more difficult to play that. But Ari has TP and double electric.
Yeah, I like the way that looked. Just two giant shards from heaven coming down. Like, hey, we traded there. It's like, yeah, we did. But going back into what you said, yeah, they do both have electrocute. Ari does not have ignite though, so there is a little bit of a damage advantage on the side of Vex.
Yeah, so this is like the second time today when we've seen something happen in game that was like in sync, like the double blast cone, the right now the double electrocute, and I think that electrocute like comes from the same place. So at that point, it's just like, okay, well, we're just high-fiving each other on the way down. We're talking about like how the weather is. This is an early game.
This is an early gank coming out of Sejuani, and because that W was missed from Mordekaiser, it might be a little bit more difficult. Sejuani does tumble forward, is able to find the CC onto the Urgot, and that's an early kill from Mordekaiser. No need to burn the flash, he had Ghost. So the differential there in the summoner spells is going to result in an early kill for the side of Infinite.
Okay, yeah, Infinite. I think get some rest tonight, man. But no, I've seen Mordekaiser's take Ghost, and Mordekaiser getting that kill early on is actually really good. That's a lot of damage. She has corrupting potion and did like half her HP in damage. That's disgusting.
Yeah, now Sejuani's back up top trying to make this the Hashin special. Unfortunately, Mordekaiser misses the pull, so they probably won't have much more follow-up here. Across the board, Urgot is taking a good bit of damage here. Again, unfortunately for him, Sejuani is going to have to walk away, so he won't die again this time, but maybe next time.
Yeah, and it's going to be hard for Urgot to play without Flash, and he already used Teleport, so he doesn't really have that. But he's going to have to play extremely passive into that Mordekaiser now. Because if you look, Mordekaiser already has a Blasting One, and it's 4 minutes into the game. So it's a very good thing for him early on to have that. But it's losable. It's not completely over for the Urgot, but it is very losable for the Mordekaiser if you catch a meaning on that. So if he manages to play properly and without misstep, I feel like he could just end up carrying this game, because Mordekaiser does carry games very hard. It's disgusting.
Yeah, and
And
you can see, okay, yeah, Infinite augmenting into the Mordekaiser carry. This is the third time in less than 5 minutes that Sejuani has path up top. We see the wave pushing in bot side, and I just wanted to point out before anything else, he has Doran's shield, and on back, Urgot picked up Cole, so he does not want to engage anymore. He wants to farm.
yeah, and I feel like this is a lot of, he understands. He had an opportunity before anyone got a kill, before first blood between the two of them. I think it might just be a gank, right?
Yeah, Sejuani looking for Vex here. She does have flash. Misses the knockup, but might just find the CC. She does, and that's going to be another kill. What are you guys talking about in chat? We're just going to put him on Sejuani. He's a beast so far in this game, finding and converting both of the kills that are gone or have gone through for OK, yeah, Infinite, and now your solo laners are ahead.
Yeah, that's very, very good for Ari as well. Because last time we saw Ari versus Vex, Ari got absolutely obliterated, and I think it was because there was a lot of mechanical misplays, micro misplays. But now, I mean, Ari understands the matchup. She understands what needs to happen, and so does Sejuani. And Sejuani is there on top of stuff, perma ganking lanes, making sure that they get ahead, and really securing the early game for her team. But now that they almost have it secured, they need to be able to make sure that they don't throw it. And this is just
Ezreal in a bad spot, but now, okay, yeah, Infinite's in a bad spot as Zillion is immediately jumped upon. The kill is gifted over to Ezreal as well. So, a good turnaround. Ezreal did not blow flash there either. He actually held on to his heal as well. So, I mean, ultimately, no sums for a kill in the bot lane and dragging.
yeah, and I like that they already, they're on top of the first dragon, and and it's like right as it spawns, I'm assuming, right? So now they have what they need to be able to set up for that first Baron, not first Baron, good lord, first Herald. So normally, whatever I see whenever I play these kinds of games is, they take first dragon, they trade for first Herald because they waited so long for it to spawn, and here goes Mordekaiser popping off.
Does the R transfer into the Shadow Realm? Because I don't think it actually goes through with them. Unfortunately, that is an interaction that I hadn't thought of before, which is crazy. But Mordekaiser lives because of a tech that he obviously knows.
Either
That
it was
is
a mistake.
no, that wasn't a mistake. That is so. Normally, Urgot's R is an execute that if you go below a certain threshold, you are just be able to pull to into your die. Like, you just die. It's but Mordekaiser's ult kind of leaves everything out, and now we have pretty much a guaranteed kill here onto the Vex. Sejuani picks it up, and I'm going to go back to explaining that point. Mordekaiser's ult makes everything that you did outside of the ult fall off, so there was no execute point for Urgot anymore. His ult basically disappeared. And because of that, Mordekaiser was able to walk away and just subdue him. And now Sejuani is up here for the counter gank. And they're going to go right onto the Urgot. They trade places pretty much. Sejuani is here for the counter gank. And that is going to be Mordekaiser getting another kill. Oh my goodness. What a great play from OK, yeah, Infinite. What a way to turn that one around.
And Mordekaiser knew exactly what the plan was. They were most likely talking about it in their team chats. They said, okay, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to bait for both of them. Because they already knew that they were coming, right? Mordekaiser has vision. And because he had that vision, it saved his life. Because if you recall how far he was played up, like how far he was up in that lane, he would have died pretty much instantly if Urgot would have gotten an E off close to turret. Okay, now, Vex.
We have Vex caught in the middle of three members of OK, yeah, Infinite. And man, oh man, is this just getting worse and worse for COG Midas. I want to, give the benefit of the doubt, but at this point in the game, you accelerated a Mordekaiser who's going to be a big problem. And you accelerated the Sejuani, who is going to be the tankiness that you need and could augment into some AP as well. I have seen a lot of Sejuani's build the tank mythic and then pick up something like the burn AP item that does max % health damage, and unfortunately it does a lot when you talk about her R or her E. So we might see something like that come out. Ezreal misses ult wide, and I think the bot lane's just going to go back to a standstill.
Yeah, I'm wanting Sejuani to focus around bot side a little bit more because I mean, Mordekaiser's already had he first bought Rylai's Crystal Scepter, and that's actually really really aids when you think about it because his passive is constant magic damage. And with that paired with Rylai's, it's just like how do you play against it because you can't like there's physically
run
nothing
away.
you can do. Right.
Yeah.
You just slowed for 3 centuries.
It's almost impossible. So I do like that buy here, and even on the side of the rest of Yaoke Infinite, unfortunately Sejuani's sitting on a ward. On the rest of the Yaoke Infinite team members, as 4,000 dies to bot side, I think the gank came through. No, Vi's nowhere near, so just a straight up kill. Zillion had reset and he didn't respect the damage that came out. Unfortunately for Ahri, that's going to be a Vi ult to the face, and no, you do not get to use the rest of your R because you are gone. So a couple of kills going back over to Cog Midas here, and man, oh man, it's just every single time I say words, it just turns around. I gotta stop. I said that last game, but I really gotta stop this one. Sejuani fighting her way down to the bot lane. But yeah, I like the itemization coming out from everyone. Sejuani picks up a turbo Kim tank here, is going to be able to hunt people down more effectively now. And we see the 3 kills from Yaoke Infinite coming from the bot side of the map.
Yeah, and this just means that, you know, it's going to be strong side top this game. Since they already got killed bot side, Ezreal has a kill, you know, Renata has a kill. It's gonna be harder to gank them because they have that advantage. If you look at the CS difference between Ezreal and Jinx, it's just almost it is 20 CS difference. What's the gold difference looking like? Thank you for that. It's about 800 something gold. I mean that's a whole component right there. You know that's the difference between life or death at that point because Jinx is surprisingly strong, but Ezreal already has Sheen. And they'll try this Renata. Okay, thank you. I was about to say, if Renata tries to ult that, I mean, could maybe luckily steal it, but I don't really know her damage that well. But so at this point, I think what Cog Midas has to do, not necessarily like should do, but they need to just focus on that CS, and they're all CSing beautifully, all things considered. And there goes Mordekaiser being a menace.
Mordekaiser pulls Urgot into the death realm. Urgot doing his best to juke all the way around. Mordekaiser just decides to run away. He is hit by the R, and now Renata misses their R, and it's going to be a dead Renata as Jinx will not get the kill, but will get excited all about it. But very happy for her friend Sejuani here, but Vex trying their best to stay alive in this situation, and Ahri is just going to jump all around, as the song says, but unfortunately for her, is not going to be able to get the kill.
Ooh,
and
really
Mordekaiser falls topside, though, yeah. I did not see that until just a second too late. That's a huge shutdown going over to Vi, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I think, isn't Vi going into Divine Sunder?
It does look to be that way, and Ahri is just going to let Vi go onto the Sejuani. No charm comes out, but Zillion is here, so a good R passes over, and Sejuani's going to be just fine.
Yeah, Sejuani just walks away, didn't have to burn Flash or anything like that. The only thing that was burnt was, Zillion ult, and it was a beautiful Zillion ult because of that huge shutdown. And if any of them besides Renata were to get that, it would have been very, very bad. And he just goes another fight.
Yeah, Renata charmed up, not a whole lot of damage coming through, but Vi is there, forces the Flash out of the Ahri, and it's going to be nothing else. Sejuani is top lane, Flash is on top of the Urgot, lands the knockup, can't be slowed, so she's going to freeze you into place. Urgot is trying his best to get away, but it's going to be all for naught as Sejuani picks up their 6th kill of the game.
Yep, and the Sejuani's, gank potential is disgusting. And there goes that Rylai's action that I was talking about earlier, how little he was actually able to move. And now, if he wants to get even more aids with it, he should go Leandre's Anguish. Just rub it in his face, say, you burn to death, and you just don't get to move.
Ahri picks up a kill. Oh, there's a trade kill in mid lane that both mid laners dropped their flash, and Vex had to ignite as well. And now we see CP coming in from the Urgot. Mordekaiser and Sejuani just chilling around topside, absolutely unwavered by the sight of Urgot and his TP. And Sejuani's ult came back up. Unfortunate for him as Urgot gets the isolation damage, and now Sejuani's jumping on Urgot. He has nowhere to run, and bonk, bonk goes Mordekaiser. That's going to be that tower going down, and first tower of the game over to Sejuani and Mordekaiser.
This is honestly really, really bad for Urgot, especially since he's 0-4. You know, he's basically out of the game. He's going to be a split pusher. Now they're at a huge disadvantage for those team fights. Now it's basically a 4v5 because he is so far out of the game. Mordekaiser will be able to do massive amounts of damage. He's going Riftmaker, which, you know, does grant a little bit of true damage for each, you know, tick of damage that he manages to have. And then on top of that, you know, Sejuani's just going to be a microwave.
Yeah, you know? And when we look at objective fights going forward, we're going to have a huge issue that is Mordekaiser can literally just pull Vi out of any and every team fight. And because your Urgot is so just unexisting at this point in the game, non-existent rather is the correct terminology, but Vi's going to have no smite potential because you can't smite from the Death Realm.
Right. So Mordekaiser's going to have to be there for team fights. But now Urgot also has some form of a safety net. He just gets the split push. I do still see, even after, you know, the nerfs for range champions, I do still see a lot of Urgots still go not Riftmaker. Hole breaker.
Yes.
And just destroy the side lanes. And I think this is just bot turret
might be bot turret falling. Unfortunately, it does not go down yet. Renata's ult does come out, and the Zilean is going to tap the Jinx there. But unfortunately for Urgot, he does get top tower, but you just constantly get destroyed here. Another bonk should come out from Mordekaiser, and yep, that's going to be all she
And that is an instant Rift Herald. They're already pinging for that Rift Herald, man. They are on top of it. They have a game plan. They're executing it beautifully. They know what they need to do to win this game. And honestly,
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. I was wondering if they were going to try to dive the Ahri.
It could have been an opportunity there, as Vi did have ult up, but I think they decided against it. They are down in the bot lane, some skirmishing going on.
Oh,
Vi does find Zilean, who pops the art on himself, and unfortunately for him, Jinx dies in the aftermath. But a nice shot from Ezreal will get the double kill, and once again, your bot lane is crashing and burning, but it's not really worth, because Vi is not going to compare to that Sejuani. Your Urgot is not going to compare to that Mordekaiser. And now the two mega people from the side of Yaoke Infinite are roaming down. Unfortunately, that dragon's going to be gone before they get a chance to be there, but not a lot is going to come of this. They do force out the flash from the Renata. A fear does go onto the Mordekaiser, so they have to walk away. And I think that is the biggest downfall of the top side of the map for Yaoke Infinite. They're both relatively immobile. Like Sejuani has the jump and flash, of course, but Mordekaiser had brought that ghost because he knew that he was immobile to begin with. So I do like some of the adaptation there. Maybe we'll see something that'll come in Mordekaiser's buys that'll be like a little bit of move speed or something along those lines, which would be really nice for the team fights. Or if he decides to try to 1v1 lane, he'll just bully Urgot even more. But I do like what I see so far, and I hope that Yaoke Infinite can pull this together.
Yeah, and I do like the response from, and here goes Urgot again.
He just flashed forward with no respect to Urgot, and now he's in the Death Realm, gonna get the big bonk, and Zilean's here, doesn't get the assist, but just wanted to be there to watch. Renata gets charmed up by the Ahri, and she's gonna miss a lot of the follow-up damage, but unfortunately for Renata, Ahri does have R. She's going to go attack absolutely nothing because no one was nearby. But that aside, Vi finds the R onto the Ahri, and woo! That damage coming out of Ezreal is going to find the kill onto the Ahri as well. Vi alive, just a little bit. Vex ult does reach onto the Zilean. Does she go? Vi staying alive with the W from Renata, and now Jinx trying to find the kill onto Ezreal. Zilean able to R himself and run away. I apologize, as that fight was all over the place.
Yeah, and I do like the response that, you know, Vi had to Urgot just absolutely getting destroyed, and using the constant pressure that Urgot was drawing to get that Ezreal ahead. And now he's building the Divine Sunder now, and it's just like, what are you going to do? 5-0-2, 2 completed items, almost has his Miramana. At this point, you know, Ezreal's going to be the win condition for his team. He's going to be the win condition in fights because he is able to poke out that Mordekaiser, and he will not have a say in it. He's going to have to figure out a way to gap close, and even then, he's going to have Ezreal's going to have his entire team to peel. So this is actually really, really bad. And now, as you can see, also Vi has Divine Sunder as well. She's doing really good.
And she has
QSS.
Yeah, she has paid that QSS tax, which I imagine that Ezreal will do soon, because the only time I see Ezreal dying in this outside of a major team blow up is going to be when that Mordekaiser ult lands and he's getting 1v1 in the death realm. And now we see Urgot already burned the flash, is going to get knocked up, and this is just so unfortunate to see. He might escape here. No, gets pulled back. Couple more bonks come through and he might just die, but it might turn into a full team fight as Sejuani does manage to pick up the Ari on top of the Renata. The R does come through and they do bonk each other a couple of times, but unfortunately for them it's not going to be enough. The whole team is here in the mid lane and Rift Herald drops. They might just turn for Baron.
Yeah, and I feel like, Sejuani and Mordekaiser are kind of trolling by just nonstop ganking an 0-7 Urgot. They could put that pressure somewhere else, like towards the Ezreal or towards, just permanent invading the Vi. But the fact that they're not doing that with the lead that they have is honestly a little bit troll. Vex might actually take that.
Yeah, I don't think Vex is going to do enough damage, but with the follow-up damage from the Ezreal, that's going to be a lot. Vi ulting into the background, and now that is a dead Zillion. Ari might just fall too. Mordekaiser doing his best so he can do all the damage possible, but it's going to be all for naught as the entirety of Infinite is wiped on the floor, dead and gone.
And that is why, soaking up that much jungle pressure is so good. And honestly, kudos to Urgot for actually, it's not like he let that happen, but he realized that it had to happen for his team. And he didn't, try to ping for assistance or like rage ping for assistance or anything like that. He recognized how much pressure he was drawing from the Sejuani. And even though, Mordekaiser and Sejuani are both ahead, now look at the jungle. Now look at the ADC. Now look at the mid laner who just ulted in, absolutely obliterated half the team. These are the kind of things that junglers sometimes mess up on. Your one lane is doing so bad and they just try to constantly gank it. At that point, there's nothing really more that you can do besides just add numbers. He's worth maybe 100 gold right now. I mean, it's just not worth burning flash and ult to try to kill the Urgot. Nothing like that. It's just it's misplays like that allow these games to be so close. And even with the 0-7 Urgot, look at the gold difference. It's what, 6k gold?
6k gold difference, and that is going to be Dragon Soul, which is Infernal Soul point there for the side of Cog Midas. Mordekaiser is ahead, you're correct. Sejuani is ahead, you're correct. But there is no bot side for this team on Yaoke Infinite's side, and it's going to be very difficult for them to get back in this game. Jinx has one item while most of the enemy team is sitting on at least 2.
Yeah, and this this is not looking too good for Yaoke Infinite. They managed to play the early game beautifully topside. They managed to play safer towards the bot side. But now it's to the point where Sejuani went topside too many times and just camped. Oh boy.
We do see Ezreal get pulled into the death realm. A nice flash Q coming out from Mordekaiser. But now he's got nothing done, and a couple of slaps come across from Renata's ult, but it's not going to be enough. Vi does ult onto the backline here, is exhausted, and still finds the kill onto the Zillion. Mordekaiser falls. This could be game here, as Sejuani will fall as well. Jinx dies. Oh, Sejuani actually gets away. Jinx does die, so it will not be a full ace unless... Oh, it will, as the snipe comes through from Ezreal. Baron still adorned by pretty much every member of Cog Midas, and they will push to end this game. Death timers are too long for the side of Yaoke Infinite, and this is a heartbreak to lose, I know for sure, as both of the Nexus turrets do fall. Nexus is exposed at this point.
Yeah, and I feel like Sejuani kind of was responsible for that by drawing and falling for that bait of come back topside. Let's just go kill me over and over again. I feel like she fell for that over and over and over again, and so did Mordekaiser, burning summoner spells and burning his ultimate and wasting so much of the lead that they had on basically nothing. You know, Argot was worth no gold at that point, and they burned so many. Like they burned 2 ultimates and flashes, and in some cases, for Mordekaiser he ghosted. And early game it was worth. They got a good couple of kills, got an early blasting one, was able to over and over kill him, but in the long run, because they got that kind of pressure, Vi just said, okay, you know what? Y'all can have that. I'm going to go bot side and basically feed my Ezreal, the one person that threatens the Mordekaiser, because he can poke you down to make it to where you can't really do anything. Mordekaiser excels into melee matchups, and Ezreal is basically the polar opposite of a melee matchup. He has extreme range compared to Mordekaiser, and based off of that, that's why they lost, because Sejuani kind of threw that instead of just extending her lead.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. And I don't think the Sejuani necessarily got baited. I just think they just made the wrong choice in where to attack. But we are going to throw it to a break here, and we will see you guys back shortly. We also will throw up the MVP vote, and we're going to converse between the both of us. We'll see who we decide when we come back from the break as the MVP for Game 3. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We have the men, the myth, the legends themselves here. The winners of the MVP awards, AEN and French Fries, as he is known in game. How you guys doing today?
Great, bro.
Yeah, pretty good, man.
How you feel about winning your first game?
Pretty hype, pretty hype. I feel like we definitely know that we are gonna compete and bring some more wins. So this is just the start.
Heck yeah. Well, you guys did end up winning this one. You dropped your first game to Five Monkeys Gaming, and we did have a little bit of a roster change there. So some could say that that could be, contested, but looking forward, looking into the future, you guys play Insomnia next week, and then you guys have Yaoke Infinite again in week 5. How do you feel about those upcoming matchups?
I have no idea, bro.
No idea.
I don't know any of the rosters.
I mean, you just played one of the teams. How do you feel about the games that you played?
Um, the jungler was pretty good. Their mid was
Okay.
buns though.
There's Buds. Okay. A little bit of a rivalry. We did see you popped off in game 1, just took over on the LeBlanc. Corky didn't do bad himself though. How did you feel about that matchup, and how did you feel about, playing him in the 3-game series?
I mean, the matchup's free, so kind of expected to get ahead, but he definitely always found his way back into the game.
I got you. Well, rubber duckies, or excuse me, French fry. You guys have such colorful names. How did you feel about your performances today? And do you think there's places where you can improve, or do you think you did just about all right? What's going on up there?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think there is a room for improvement. I noticed several times where I could have been outputting a little bit more damage, or positioning a little bit better for my team. Um, Yeah, but overall, I feel like I played pretty well, and they're just minor mistakes to adjust as we go.
I got you. I'm gonna toss it over to Zed. I believe he has a couple of questions for you guys. Then I'll have one question at the end, and then we'll call it a day.
All right, so I did notice that in the first game, LeBlanc was the only source of magic damage. Was that pre-planned? Like, did you realize that when you were making the team? Because Poppy didn't itemize for LeBlanc's damage, so as a result, she got one shot by LeBlanc. Was
Sure.
that planned for you guys, or was that just like an accidental thing?
I think it wasn't planned, but having solo AP is always like a good idea. I can just do true damage to people.
Yeah, that's actually a really good idea. So I'm gonna fast forward a little bit to game 2 when your Urgot was soaking up all that pressure from Sejuani, and the Mordekaiser and Sejuani just kept on killing him over and over again. What was your team's initial game plan when Urgot got ganked the 3rd time or the 4th time? When did you guys realize that Sejuani was just never going to leave top, and what was the plan moving forward from that?
Honestly, I think the plan from the start of the game was to just play safe as we could and try to make sure that we protect Vayne in fights. And that was the game plan going through the entirety of the game. And with Urgot struggling, I think we just were trying to make as much as we could happen, which wasn't the most, but yeah, we did our best.
Yeah, and kudos to that. As a team, losing that second game, was that tilting for any of you, or was that like, okay, now we know, some of our flaws, let's improve them for the next game?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that one?
So losing that second game, was that did that tilt your team at all? Like, was there certain instances in the game where you guys were just tilted, or did you keep your cool throughout the game and just think about what you can improve on moving forward?
I think we definitely, faced some adversity there, and we were definitely, a little upset about game two for sure. But I think we all do a pretty good job at when we get to the next game, having like a mental reset and being able to start fresh.
I
Yeah,
like
that's always a good mental to have whenever you play these team, even like especially for team play, it's even more important that your entire team keeps their mental in check. So I have to give that one to you guys.
Appreciate it.
Going forward, and this is my last question. The going forward into the league, what improvements has your team been trying to make? So like you've noticed that you have a couple of weaknesses here or there. As the team, like as your team as a whole, what mistakes have you guys noticed that you're making, and how do you plan on improving them in the future?
Well, I've only had a small sample size with this team, but I could definitely say respecting their jungler is something we could work on.
Yeah, that's something that I noticed as well. Like you guys don't really like respectfully, of course. But when I was watching the game, there was a lot of instances where the damage output and just the mechanical skill that the jungler had that you guys didn't really respect as much as you could have, and that ultimately led to some horrible decisions being made. And I think it's honestly what cost the second game.
True.
But
Okay.
that's all the questions that I have.
I'm gonna wrap this up here. I had one final question. Do you guys have anyone in the league that you've looked out for specifically, or is there anyone in the league that you guys, or excuse me, looked out specifically for as like you've done VOD reviews, or is there anything you want to say to the rest of the league?
I don't necessarily think there's anyone we're looking out for. At the end of the day, we just want to be the best team we possibly can be, and we know we can compete at a high level, so we're here to bring it.
Heck yeah, great answer. Well, if you guys don't have anything left to say, we're gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna give you guys the floor for about 10 seconds. If not, you guys are feel free to leave. But after that, we're gonna wrap up the stream, and we will be back here tomorrow with it will be Insomnia versus Collective Horizon. So you guys have the floor.
I will throw a shout out to Chalk for being a very knowledgeable and like helpful coach. He definitely adds a lot of value to, or just like input in general. And then our top lane specifically, like you were mentioning earlier, he stuck it out, and yeah, that was rough up there.
Well, for sure, for sure. We appreciate you guys coming here. We appreciate you guys, actually playing in the league, and we love what we saw from you guys. Definitely, for sure, you guys were MVP candidates, or you guys were the MVP rather, and that does put a tick into your score boxes. We are keeping track of that. So, if you guys do well over the course of the season, you might just end up with an MVP trophy. But we will have to see. We hope to see everyone here tomorrow, as we will be having that game versus of Insomnia versus Collective Horizon. Until then, we will see you guys later.
Our lips, they tasted like those cigarettes. Staring at the moon, we'd go to bed. In my arms, you're safe and sound, without a threat. And I can't wait to see what happens next. How far can we get if we sail a little bit high, a little bit low? How far can we get if we sail a little bit high, a little bit low? We're still a little bit young, but I'm all in. We're still a little bit dumb, but I'm all in. We're still a little tasted like those cigarettes, staring at the moon. We'd go to bed in my arms, you're safe and sound without a threat. And I can't wait to see what happens next. How far can we get if we sail a little bit high, a little bit low? How far can we get if we sail a little bit high, a little bit low? We're still a little bit young, but I'm all in. We're still a little bit dumb, but I'm all in. We're still a little bit young, but I'm all in. We're still a little bit dumb, but I'm all in. If we sail a little bit high, a little bit low, a little bit high, a little bit low, a little bit high, a little bit low, a little bit high, a little bit low. I don't know any roads that lead us back home, and I don't know any roads that lead us back home. How far can we get if we sail a little bit high, a little bit low? I need us to be a little bit high, a little bit low, complete.